I can't even express how excited I am for Gord Vendome's Downward Spiral. I'm about to start screaming, to be honest. Okay, extra honey for the whoa! Okay, everyone keep it together. Forgot the Jingle Bell Rock versions and stuff. I didn't know they had a Hall & Oates version. I like Hall & Oates. You are so hot for having good taste in music, by the way. Good bingo remembering. Get Spotify die. Okay. Keep it together. Okay. So, before I begin, I can't keep it together. Also, my camera's really bad. It was bad yesterday. It bothered me then, and it's bothering me now. There's two versions. The whole version. Oh, two whole versions for the two of them. So we're playing You Cringe, You Drink, but I don't drink alcohol. So I have this 2 liter of juice because I've already read this and I know it's really bad. So I have this Minute Maid fruit punch that I stole from work, and we're gonna drink it every time we cringe. Also, to get a good count of how many times we cringed, I did make a last second what is it called? Chat command. That's the bitch. Explanation point, cringe. Grace, this is only for you. You are the only person allowed to use it. So hopefully. No. I mean, I just turned 21 recently. Like September. And I don't know. The only reason I would want to is for something like this, where it'd be the entertainment of other people. And that's probably not a great reason to do it, but I'm thinking about it. But that juice is fine. You can use it when we cringe. So when I take a drink of my 2 liter of Minute Maid fruit punch, which I will not be putting in a cup, I will just be drinking it straight from the 2 liter because I think that's funnier. So whenever I drink, essentially, the command is exclamation point cringe. You may test it if you so desire, but that will give it all it does is it does a number. The goal is for the juice to be gone. Shots of oh my vinegar. I would die. I feel like you would die also. Is vinegar drinkable now that I think about it? Well, I stole the fruit punch specifically for this. So, fruit punch it is. All right. I'm so excited. Okay. Keep it together. I have it pulled up. Here she is. Oh, no. Spoilers! Let me configure this a little bit. Latin America. Honestly, me too. It's pretty bad. I am American. Born and raised. And yeah, I agree. Okay. I feel like it's fine. We're just gonna read it. I'm just gonna start. We're just gonna go. Okay? Don't. You're damn right. I can eat whatever slop I want. Okay. I'm not gonna read the summary. I'm not gonna read the notes. Let's just start. So we're already off to a phenomenal start, right? Yes. The fan art is literally my favorite part. It's the, it's really bad. I mean, look at it. Discount JoJo? Yeah. And it, like, okay, these characters are supposed to be like 15 years old, right? Why do they all look... Duncan looks 50, right? So that's problem number one. Why are they 40? What's going on? What's the stuff in the background? Be honest. JoJo's Antra. Perfection. This thing, yes. The graphic design down here, black text, white background, black background, white background, black drop shadow. Yes! Yes! Okay. Here we go. Dear Diary. I hate diary entries. They're so bad. I wish I could write something like my class schedule in this Aquaberry Star notebook that my mother sent me. But I just received the most horrific news, and I'm shaking as I'm writing this. Father has been taken in for questioning by the police. I only heard about it on the radio, buzzing away in my room, but it was only after I received the most tearful phone call from Mother that I realized how real it all was. Unfortunately, Darby Harrington heard about it and has given me a distasteful conversation about how it could lead to my presence sullying Harrington House, as typical of people of our social status. Social class, sorry. He said his words in a mock-joking manner as though he half believed the story. Sadly, Mother confirmed it to be true. John's peculiar escapade? No! I love the shit that gets worse. There's, like, where it's, like, the meme, like, is drawn worse and worse. I love those. Sadly, Mother confirmed it to be true. Hopefully the police will give up. My father is a great man. He'd never do anything wrong. Homework to do. English, not applicable. Maths. Oh. I'm sorry. Maths, die. You're... Biology not applicable. Chemistry, ask Beatrice for notes. Cringe. I won't drink for that one though. Gym, place firecracker in Damon's gym bag. Art, take photo of a muse. That'll come back later, I think. Photography, see above. Music, practice violin. Okay, why'd you put it in the fucking art category then, you doofus? Music, practice violin. Geography, draw a map of Bulworth. Shop, ugh, no. It's bad. I feel like I should just keep it on, unscrewed. Dear Diary, my worst fear has come true. I woke up to beautiful bird song that was promptly interrupted by a jock kicking a ball at it outside my window before someone knocked on my door rapidly. I opened it and Darby stood there looking odd as he held up a copy of the Bulworth Bugle in his hands. I found it strange that he'd lay hands on a Democrat's poverty porn magazine, his words, not mine, but on the front page with a picture plastered on the front, my father being held down by 4 police officers with his hair disheveled while screaming blue murder at the cameraman and a frightened army of lawyers. The bold headline screamed, "Hotelier arrested for fraud." And my heart sank to my soles. Paper rustling, Darby sighed as he rolled it up. The story's gonna get... I agree. Welding is so cool. But this is his character, so we've got to lean into it, obviously. Thank God. Okay. Where the fuck am I? Oh, my heart sank to my soles. Paper rustling, Darby sighed as he rolled it up. Your father held valuable information belonging to my father's company, and now it's all been leaked because hackers have been crawling all over the computer system where the financial details was also kept. It's causing a huge scandal in my father's business, and he's having to hire hitmen and armed police to control the rioting going on outside his office blocks. My stomach fell to my heart. Hitman, stomach fell to my heart. Good stuff. All right. I knew while he spoke what he was going to say. You can't kick me out, I gasped. He may be arrested for fraud, but he hasn't been put into trial yet. He's innocent until proven guilty. Yes, but for how long? Darby wondered. How long will it take until your father gets to announce his plea? He should just fess up and save himself the trouble of plowing? Ploughing? Is that how you spell plow? Just curious. It is a bully-themed fanfiction. I read it a while ago. It's really fucking bad, and it's awesome. Really? I've never spelled plow, in all fairness. My dad will beat up your dad. But yeah, that's so them. You're right. Okay. Through something as difficult and draining as a trial. He can't be guilty of fraud. He's meticulous, he's calculating, and he's being framed, I yelled. A couple of our friends passing by gasped at my outburst, but Darby frowned, unfazed. My father would never deceive or lie his way to the top, I continued, but then the school bell rang, and a chorus of "oh shit, we're going to be late" echoed amongst our peers. That's fucking terrible. We'll finish this later, Darby said with a tone of finality and strode off, head held high and mighty. Meanwhile, I was ready to die on the spot. I made it to class on time, thankfully. Unfortunately, it's maths. I sat down with a heavy sigh and Mr. Hattrick snarled at me as if every noise I make offends him. Humph. If he wasn't as wealthy as the others, I'd have given him a derivative smirk. Okay? He was actually sacked last year for selling test results to my chums. I can't. I'm sorry. That's what I'm thinking. In all honesty. Chums was really bad. Not real. I gotta go. Another wealthy student, but is put back on probation under a strict watch until Dr. Crabblesmith finds a replacement. All right, you lot, pay attention, he suddenly barked, and we jerked to attention. Someone has been drinking booze, and I can smell it in here. My classmates start glancing at each other with frowns, trying our hardest to hide amusement. Therefore, I want to breathalyze everyone before class ends. Wow. I'm so glad that I can share it with the people because it's so good and very well written. Who wrote this? Be honest. My hand shot up before I could think. Uh-oh. Mr. Hattrick turned his steely glare to me. What is it, Vendome? Isn't that against the law and wishes of the parents and guardians, as we are technically minors and not held on any police charges? I spoke before stopping. Curse my impulses. What? That steely glare practically doused itself in jet fuel and set aflame, but his voice stayed calm, frighteningly calm. What do you suggest I do, Vendome? Listen to the words of a hypocrite? I did to go. I love Bulworth. But not for the reasons you think. It is a walkable utopia. Combined effort. All right. That's good. Love you, Bulworth. Ugh. Okay. My skin bristled. Something's. Cringe. My skin bristled, and murmurs sounded around me. The words father and charged were thrown around, entering my hearing. And blood, like poison. Probably should have saved the cringe for the end of the sentence, because I can't. It's bad. Okay. What should I have said, though? What should I have said, though? No, I got it. I stayed silent, and Mr. Hattrick humphed before sitting down and opening his book. All right, class, turn to page 394. Today we're on to quadratic equations. Imaginable worth, but with less bullying and more of a history of domestic terrorism. Let's go. Glad that happened. Hope it was fun. Thank God. His words buzzed into nothingness. Nothingness filled my head. All I could do is mindlessly listen to him while my worries hummed through my veins to the tips of my fingers as they toyed and doodled with my pen. My God, it's so... Luckily, I sat behind that greaser Vance. Medici? I'm not Italian, sorry. As he blocked Mr. Hattrick's view of my desktop, but I noticed him looking at me sneakily in his peripheral vision. It's coming? Alright, hope it's cool there. At least. Gone? Well, you know. After a moment of surprise of his green eyes watching me, I narrow my eyes at him, and he relaxed before looking back at his paper. I stared at the blank piece of paper on my textbook before a note appeared onto my textbook. I am not aware, no. I'm sorry. I'm American, which means I'm very stupid when it comes to literally every other country. As soon as I saw that, well, I'm glad things made sense. Google. I will almost certainly forget, but if I remember, I will try. Hopefully it's not porn. Alright, never trust when somebody tells you to Google something, it will be porn. Okay, anyway, I stared at the blank piece of paper on my textbook before a note appeared onto my textbook. A note from a greaser, of all people. My life is truly turning to hell. Giving my droning teacher a cautionary glance, I opened up the folded piece of paper. Hey, Vendome, sorry, the number 2. Hear about your dad. That was all it said. The paper crumpled under my contemptuous grip. Stop acting like you know what words mean. I'm almost certain you don't. And I wrote beneath it before nudging his back. He reacted with surprise, but I swiftly nicked it just before our teacher stopped talking, giving us both a weird look but carried on. I wrote, if you want to put more salt in my wound, you looking at me is enough to poison the planet. What the fuck? Hello? You'd probably was just, oh, good. Can't wait. Seconds later, he handed me the note, not looking at me. I opened it, wondering if he uses grease as ink. Please die. This one's for me! At least you're honest. Okay, I mean it. I know we ain't buddies, but I feel for you. At least you knew your dad. Oh my God, I forgot. Let's go. Vince sad backstory. Thank God. Oh, I felt something struck my nerves as I read that, but not out of irritation. Sorrow? Sympathy? What, for this working class pleb expressing sympathy towards me? I'm still richer than he is. I'll show him. Looking up to see Mr. Hattrick writing on the board while he began ranting about irresponsible alcoholics, I tore a page from this Aquaberry Star notebook and right within the gold borders, very neatly with my diamante tipped pen. I don't know. I get that okay, Gord is one of the preps in Bully, so he's like a rich character. But honestly, whoever wrote this is homophobic and racist and all of the other isms. It's really bad. We'll get there though. Ranting about your okay, great. I practically stabbed his back with the folded note, but his stupid leather jacket acted like armor, and he casually scratched his neck before his fingertips licked the paper. That was bad. Licked the paper from my hand, and he began to read it. My father has not deceased, nor has he done anything wrong. You, on the other hand, are a blight to Bulworth and my sight. He just sighed, and turned to the page in his textbook, much to Mr. Hattrick's hysteria. Why aren't you on page 394, Medici? And were you just passing notes? I could have been ratted out, but the redhead pleb in front of me just shrugged. No, sir, just spare notes so I don't ruin my notepad. Mr. Hattrick narrowed his eyes but carried on yakking. Everything, the worry of my father being arrested, all piled on my mind and darkened my vision from lack of focus. What? Then a piece of folded paper with a glittering gold border entered my line of vision and shone through my darkness. What the fuck is going on? I numbly took it and opened it, seeing a reply to my venomous entry. You're mad. I get it. If your mates ain't talking... ain't talking to you because you're no longer rich, then they're not... That's wrong there. I'll kill myself. Not being worth friends with. Not worth being friends with. Holy shit. There's a lot of people to talk to. The improper use of the English language made me cringe. Me too, man, but... Doesn't matter. The message itself made me furrow my brow. I replied, like whom? Well, maybe Jimmy Hopkins for a start. My heart jumped like a maiden's and I smiled involuntarily. I am going to kill myself. He's such a great kisser. Perhaps I should invite him to my room to cheer me up later. That's like 5. Don't count 5, but that felt like 5. Oh, man. My response was, maybe the jocks? You guys get along with making bets on the Bulworth Horns team. That's only because it's a symbiotic relationship. Both sides benefit. Yuck. Money for money. Same old. Have you even ever had any real friends before? Holy fuck, this is so +5, thank you. Notes at this time. Localized entirely with... May I see it? Okay. Somehow, this conversation turned bizarre. Next thing I knew, I'm having a quiet argument with a greaser back and forth throughout the lesson. I'm surprised that Mr. Hattrick hasn't caught on to our antics, even though he literally did earlier. Possibly because us preps are sworn enemies of the plebs. Then we started playing Knots and Crosses. Vance won 2 out of 3 games, then Hangman. As the game progressed, the figure was depicted of Mr. Watts hanging on the noose, and I almost choked on my spit as it's apparent that the uniform in the doodle is very similar to the crazy teacher. If we'd get caught, we'd be so suspended. Somehow it feels dangerously exciting. Then it happened. While Mr. Hattrick bent over under the desk, holy fuck, to pick up something, Vance was comfortable enough to turn around properly in his seat, and our gazes met just as I was about to hand him the paper. We're finally meeting eye to eye and not just side glances. But why does Vance look so different from before we entered this classroom? Dangerously You may add a cringe if you want. Apparently that one wasn't enough for me. Hopkins, what are you doing to that firecracker? We all jumped, startled as our teacher ran to the window and almost broke it as yanked it open. Thank God. We all stood up to look too and descended into laughter as Jimmy Hopkins, dressed only in his underwear and socks, ran around wearing a hat made out of beer cans and Abraham Drinkin scribbled on his bare chest in black Sharpie. He was holding a thankfully unlit firecracker to the front of his underwear while hobbling along and singing off-key the national anthem. I can't, oh my god, hi Jimmy, but the worst, weirdest one possible, so I... Abraham Drinkin. Thank God. If it were based in Jimmy Bill, love him. I can't though. Not right now. Maybe some other time, Jimmy. Mr. Hattrick looked like he was about to shit a star-spangled brick. Okay, that's kind of funny. As he practically ascended to the 89th plane of existence when the Hopkins lad started spanking himself. Thank God. I think I've died too in order to witness this sight in the very same timeline. As we all carried on laughing, I glanced to my right to see Vance was also doubled over and wiping his eyes. Then our eyes met, and I immediately turned away, feeling my face warm up. It must be the overexcitement. Oh my god. Class ended with the bell blaring, and Mr. Hedrick sprinting outside to give chase. As everyone began to leave, I quickly run to my desk, tore out another page, and scribbled my locker number before handing it to Vance. I left before he could say anything because people could be watching. My locker number, if A34, do not plant firecrackers in there or steal. Leave me notes because I will beat you in Hangman. It will literally only get better from here. For context, this story was written in, like, hold on, 2018. And this is very important to remember as we progress. So don't forget, 2018 was when it started and ended. So the entire thing was written in 2018. Better is subjective. I will not lie. Okay. Oh, man. Next lesson was English, which thankfully provided a relaxed atmosphere as Mr. Galloway is a laid-back fellow. He didn't even spare me a second glance when he saw me writing here. In fact, he started the lesson talking about famous authors who kept diaries of their own. Exactly! Except this one's slightly more well-written. We did read Maya Mortal on stream not too long ago, which is pretty much why we're doing this now. I love reading bad fanfiction. It's so much fucking fun. It's like watching bad movies, but reading instead. It's great. Okay. Streets. Who? Okay, drinking as much as I have been, juice is not for me. I'm sorry. It's like sticky in the back of my throat. I don't know how to describe it. I'm a water man. It's a rabbit hole with stories. Oh my god, yes! I'm so excited. Let's go! Okay. Focus. This is 80K. It took me like 3 weeks to read this the first time I read it. Okay. Okay. They provide an intimate window to their very souls and experiences from their point of view, he explained, or a saddening account of the madness of the world. Anne Frank is an exceptional example of this, and not to mention she's a very bright young lady. Did you know that she would have lived longer if the Americans hadn't rejected Otto Frank's application to bring his family over? Eunice raised her hand. Uh-oh. Asking a question without being prompted. Why did the government refuse them then, Mr. Galloway? Our teacher shrugged, because even back then, the Americans are hypocritical asses who don't want illegal aliens flooding into this country despite it being built on the bones of natives and slaves. This kind of talk usually makes the other guys in my clique scoff, but I find it fascinating how raw Mr. Galloway can be when talking about reality, particularly about people living on the other side of the tracks. I'm hoping that he doesn't make my family situation an example of a collapsing bourgeoisie. Waterman. Like Adam Sandler. What? As I was saying, Mr. Galloway began, for the rest of this term, as a part of our coursework, I want everyone to start writing diaries of their own. Groans reverberated, particularly among the jocks. Ted protested the loudest. That illiterate fuck. Damn. Now, it doesn't have to be war and peace. Even one sentence each day will suffice. You can just say how the day made you feel and then go to bed. It'll literally take a couple of minutes. Hey, we can't all be winners. Something tells me that I'm going to have to borrow a photocopier from the library because I do not want to send this diary away to the examiners. This Aquaberry Star notebook is limited edition. I raised my hand and our teacher pointed his pen at me with a nod. Can we make photocopies of our diaries in case we lose the original notes? Good. Nobody will suspect me of keeping a lengthy diary. Okay, man, in class, writing it, but okay. Of course, you can even use the printers, Mr. Galloway said, sounding rather jovial before turning to everyone. Just don't forget to check and update your printer credits, otherwise you'll have to pay in cash, and nobody likes paying a few cents per page, especially if you're a creative writer with lots to say. Pop off, Gord. Good. But afterwards, Ted and his goon Damon confronted me outside by my locker, the clique leader suddenly pushing my shoulder against the cold metal with a rattle. Other students stopped at the sight of an unusual encounter. All right, Whip, where do you keep it? Ted started. Keep what, you baboon? I sputtered. This notebook suddenly felt heavy in my backpack. If it's brains that you're looking for, you're going to have to talk to your father. Gasps rippled in the surrounding crowd. Ted's father was said to be a convicted criminal, a murder, according to rumors, as he was also unknown abuser to his ex-girlfriend. But the hulking ape laughed. In reality, I would have been beaten to the ground there and then, but he laughed. Says the guy whose daddy is about to spend the rest of his life in prison, he chortled, and Damon burst out laughing. The heavy hand left my shoulder as they cackled, but my stomach twisted. The bystanders snickered, and those intrusive noises tricked to my nerves. Before I knew it, I'm seeing red, and I'm on top of Ted, punching his face without stopping. The red is from the blood pouring out of his mouth and the noise and nose, and inhuman shrieks and screams shredded my heartbeats. I didn't stop. I'm not stopping, not until Ted shuts the fuck up. Oh, Ted's father giving brain? Okay. That was enough for me. Thank you for the red is from. That was a great line. My frenzy was interrupted when someone seized my arms from behind and quickly dragging me backwards. I yelled and tried wrestling away, but arms wrapped around my waist and I was carried away from the chaotic scene until I was taken to a bathroom. Except it smelled better as perfume lingered. I've been taken to the girls' bathroom. Don't know why that would matter. He just said that to her. Then he was... We don't ask questions here. Not today. Okay. I've been taken to the girls' bathroom. I finally calmed down, resting my breathing as I focused on Jimmy Hopkins wiping blood off his hands. Ted's blood. He put a finger to his lips and peeked around the corner of the toilet cubicle he hid us in before sighing. What the fuck was all that about, Gord? He hissed, shutting the door and locking it. Why'd you have to attack Ted like that? That bastard wouldn't shut up about my father, I shouted, and he sent me a warning glare. I inhaled and breathed as deeply as I could. He wasn't offended when I joked about his parentage, but I'm such a moron for being easily riled. You sure are, Jimmy nodded in agreement, and that somehow made me deflate. Listen, we are not our parents, and they are not us. Until we are 18, we have to do a lot of things with their permission, but just because we're technically property of our parents doesn't mean that we're complete dolls or something to them. I could only stare at him as he pursed his lips. I knew my father, and he's a real shithead, but I'm not him, so I don't care about him. It's easy for you, I utter, looking down at my feet as I sat on the closed toilet lid. I'm going to wash these clothes 400 times when I get back to Harrington House. My father is an honorable man, and I'm worried that Darby will kick me out of Harrington House. Jimmy snorted. You lived in the boys' dorm before. What's the problem with it now? It's just not Harrington House, I burst. I'm sick of being woken up by fire alarms, hearing windows break, and listening to fights break out and being dragged into fights because some Nimrod keeps throwing itching powder on everyone. The only reason I slept in the dorm is because there was a renovation project going on and we all can't sleep in there. The others were lucky enough to live in the Vale so close by. Why'd you say yes? I love Jimmy. He's my beloved. I would literally kill for him. You'll get used to it until you graduate, Jimmy said matter-of-factly, and I died on the spot. I can't stand sleeping in the same quarters as you lot, I almost shrieked. Jimmy shook his head and pulled some tissues from the dispenser just as the daily fire bell blared and footsteps rumbled the building. Come on, follow me to the boys' restroom. I paid Constantina, doesn't matter, to pull the alarm as soon as he got out of detention, king. And I followed him followed him, I did. Holy fuck, that was terrible. I love Jimmy, calm down. Gord is psychotic the entire time, I promise, and it's awesome. Or is it? and followed him. I did, as we walked through the corridor past hysterical prefects, and we snuck into the boys, where Jimmy tugged my hand towards the sink to prompt me into washing the crusted blood off my hands. He wiped a spot of blood from my cheek with a wet tissue, and our eyes met. Oh my god, I can't do this. It literally only gets worse from here. Like, the first chapter is tame. I mean it. Okay. We said nothing, but stepped close to share a kiss before we melted into an embrace and tilted our I hate this. Read more. Yeah. Yes. Yes. My wet hands probably left watered down blood on the back of his standard school vest, but it didn't matter. For a moment, I forgot about my worries, my father, everything. Then we had to part with sighs. I affectively, oh man, affectionately kissed his cheek, close his ear. That cheered me up a bit, at least, I breathed. He didn't stay close for long, leaving a cold air of disappointment between us in the space where he occupied before. Glad it helped, he grinned. Hey, how about... Suddenly, Cornelius burst into the bathroom, yelling, and decked him on the head from behind with the yardstick. I'm going to have to resort to violence, he screamed, and moved to stab Jimmy, but he'd simply grabbed the yardstick, pulling him close enough to smooch his lips. Only when it's with you, babe, Jimmy cooed against his lips before moving them backward into a cubicle, and the door closed. Shouting, stopping as the yardstick clatters to the floor, and Cornelius's obnoxiously loud moans filled the bathroom. I have to go! What? Indeed. Again, this is the tame chapter. Okay. I sighed heavily. No relationship lasts long in Bulworth, I thought, as I hear more moans coming from the makeout closet. New name for toilet cubicle. Thank you for letting me know. Then the intercom screeched into life as I cringed as I left the boys' bathroom. Miss Danvers' hellish voice crackled over the distorted contraptions. Would Gord Vendome please come to the principal's office? This day could not get any worse. Okay. It got worse. I was called into Dr. Crabblesnitch's office. Even worse, Ted sat there in another seat in front of the giant oak desk as the head of the school sat there lacing his fingers together expectantly. Ted has a huge plaster across his nose, probably broken, and under his swelling eyes. Did you just skull him with a hockey stick? I guess so? I'm not really sure. Very bully core. Vendome, please, take a seat. This will not take long. I avoided shooting Ted a glare, but I could see him smirk in my peripheral vision. I wanted to take the desk and slam it on him so bad. I did as I was told, and the head began to speak. Now, I expected hooligans like those auto shop monkeys to end up in here many times a week, but they occasionally surprised me by behaving themselves and fixing the school boilers. They saved our budget a lot of money from hiring professionals because they do just fine. They could have accepted a cash payment below minimum wage, but they are grateful enough to refuse the money in exchange for immunity from detentions because they care for their education. It's just typical of Dr. Crabblesnitch drone on a prose before reading the chapter where a key character gets killed. What? Yes! Kids love child labor. It makes you a man. I mean, come on. Tell me, boys, do you care about your education here at Bulworth Academy? He asked lightly. Yes, sir, Ted nodded, and I said the same thing, but spoke more clearly. Excellent. Now, can you please demonstrate that, Mr. Vendome, by explaining why you assaulted a dear fellow student? Here it comes. I inhaled. He was making defamatory statements against my father. Dr. Crabblesnitch laughed. Sticks and stones, dear Vendome. Words cannot cause injury. Yes, they can. That's why therapy exists. Oh, boy. Cheers. Very cool. Loved that. But leaping on a student and beating the life out of them definitely hurts. Although, he looked at me up and down and I shivered. Creep. You may be one of the lads who go to the Glassjaw Boxing Club, but I'm finding it difficult to believe that a young man like you is physically able enough to knock down such a beefy lad like Ted. I felt some relief at his doubt. However, if it weren't for the accounts from numerous witnesses, then I wouldn't have believed Ted. Assaulting a student is a very serious crime, Vendome, and here all students are punished accordingly, no matter how rich or poor they are. Damn it. Because Gordon, yeah, it's bad. He is awful the whole time, and it's awesome. Okay. The grass is getting tall again on the field. Sit. Ted spoke up. Yeah. Okay. Right you are, the head nodded. It's been a while since Hopkins got into trouble, so I'm pleased to say that the groundskeeper will have the night off, as you'll be mowing the lawn to pay the school back for our kindness in hosting you for your education. My jaw dropped as I said, but he was the one who instigated the fight. Enough, Vendome. Dr. Scrabble bitch. Oops, can't all be winners. Waved at me dismissively. Unless you want 1 week 1 week suspension from lessons, I'd recommend against arguing any further. Come meet Prefect Seth at the football field at 4 p.m. this afternoon. You're both dismissed. I had no choice but to leave in pure disbelief. As we both left the reception area, Ted deliberately barged past me and hissed, "You're dead meat, Vendome. Your buddies ain't gonna protect you now." I recovered and rudely barged into his side, surprising him as he stumbled against the trophy cabinet with wide eyes, not expecting me to fight back, apparently. What a thicko! Oh man, I love Thicko personally, but not enough. Okay. I don't need protecting. It's very bad. I don't need protecting. I'm a better man than you'll ever be. I sniffed indignantly and he snarled, "You'll regret this, Vendome. Just you wait." Then he ambled away like a disgraced pig. While I should revel in this one victory, there's going to be an uphill struggle. Father explained to me that my great-granddad was the one who opened the original Vale Hotel after struggling to raise money with minimum wage jobs and made it in the end. I suppose great-granddad Valor Vendome, a very cool name you have there, man, was lucky enough to work hard and pass away as a wealthy man while many other dreamers died before they could achieve the impossible. But if these struggles I'm going through are the start of my path to something great, then I hope it's going to worth the social impossible. I'm sorry. I hope it's going to worth the social humiliation of hearing people whisper slander about my father as I trail to the boys' dorm with a packed suitcase for a single journey from Harrington House, my Garden of Eden, where I'm banished from. Maybe and you're. What a name. I mean, holy shit. Darby evicted me from Harrington House. Apparently, he held a meeting with others and said that they unanimously voted to boot me out. Other students hooted and clapped while my face burned in embarrassment. I'd rather hear the noise of my suitcase wheels trundling on the concrete, but listening to that will become a painful memory of my travel to travesty. As I passed the library and the crowd continued to grow, an egg hit my head and sickening slimy yolk dribbled down my neck and onto this season's aquaberry vest. I briefly let go of my suitcase handle to quickly wipe the disgusting egg away, but it only made the people laugh harder. Out of nowhere, someone walked towards me and I flinched as they came close, but an arm wrapped around my shoulder and the chanting stopped. Stop, sorry. First name Vendo, last name Trilla. I am going double bear. Bad boy Valor Vendome Trilla. That's crazy. That's an insane person name. Also, I don't think I can keep reading this if I drink any more juice. If you feel like adding a cringe counter, just go for it. Like, if I visibly cringe, take that as a moment to add one. Giving your kid a head start. Damn right. Hope it was fun. Luckily, you haven't missed much, only almost the entire first chapter, but honestly, you will not need it to understand what's going on. Anyway, how are you? Love you. Ugh. Okay. Water is much better. Quit it, you lot, Jemmy yelled, and the people recoiled in fear. He's got some unpacking to do. He then dropped his voice to a whisper so that only I could hear. Get going. I obliged and hastened my walk to the boys' dorm, while the crowd slowly dispersed, but some people regrouped, getting ready to hop the fence and intercept me at the doors. But I was faster than they are, and as I hauled my suitcase with ease up the steps and I entered the dorm. Luckily, there's a free room in the dorm, so when I went in, I was glad that I don't have a pauper for a room. Luckily, there's a free room in the dorm, so when I went in, I was glad that I don't have a pauper for a roommate. Okay, that's... Although, I guess I'm a pauper too now. Mother hasn't contacted me since father's arrest, so I can't even be sure how much I got in my weekly allowance. Nothing matters anymore. I got no one to talk to. I sat on the creaking bed with a grimace and just sat there, even as the fire bell rang away. No doubt it's the welcoming symphony for my arrival here. I locked the door, but then someone knocked on it. Just knocked normally. No heavy pounding or jeering. It must be Jimmy. I took a breath and opened the door, and lo and behold, it's Jimmy himself. I allowed him to walk inside, and I quickly shut the door. He looked at my suitcase strangely before glancing at my head where the egg was still stuck. Want to mock me too? I murmured. Jimmy shook his head. No, just... Ooh, congrats on your computer parts. Hope they work. Or whatever. No, just came to check that you made it to the dorm. Well, that's an achievement by everybody else's standards here, I laughed coldly. Come on, Gord, it's not like there's anything you can do. You're not a lawyer yet, and you gotta study all those years to be in the bar before they'll let you set foot in a court, and by then your dad will be in prison for a good number of years. Trust Jimmy to be so bright at a time like this, but it's painfully true. As much as I want to storm down to City Hall and demand I start an apprenticeship, I doubt they'll let a 16-year-old jump into college-level education so soon. I just realized, too, Mother handles the financials perfectly at home, and I'm sure the police will be freezing the accounts for investigation purposes. I suppose we could sell the holiday homes in Canada and Switzerland and just stay in hotels from now on, as saddening it is to occupy the same holiday space as lower classes. But what's going to happen to my education here at Bulworth? Will I even be here by graduation day in a couple of years? Check the whole household. What is it? Thank God. Well, I'm glad, despite everything, it is working. Jimmy held out a cold can of Beam Cola to me, and I just accepted it, cracking it open and reveled in the refreshing taste in my mouth. Thankfully, he didn't spike it. I don't know how you would be able to. You just opened it! Huh? You can't. Okay. Thank you. A thank you would be nice, trust fund fairy, he jokes. Thanks, I grumbled. Just because we're on good terms doesn't mean you get to act all uppity. Right back at you, Jimmy countered casually, walking to the dirty window and forced it open. Very good, tenses there, making it squeak loudly that grinded my nerves. Oh, damn, they're really good with tenses. Please fucking get it together. Damn, when was the last time I've seen mold this bad? Mold spelled wrong. That's Gord, thank God. He's right. Unhygienic conditions should be required by law to be burned down with a flamethrower. But unfortunately, that's called arson, and I'm not ready I'm not ready yet to destroy my life like that. I'm going to have to steal some cleaning supplies from the janitor's closet. But I better unpack my possessions. While it may not be necessary for me to wear Aquaberry clothing anymore, it still counts as the official school uniform. It may draw mocking from my former comrades, but they can go to hell. Vance was right in the way that they're not real friend. Huh, speaking of whom, I should also go check my locker to see if he replied. Homework to-do list number 2, English diary writing. Maths, finish the quadratic equation worksheet. Biology, not applicable. Chemistry, ask Beatrice for notes. Gym theory. For maths, thank you so much. Place 10 firecrackers in Ted's locker. Art, none. Photography, none. Music, none. Geography, redraw draft map of Bulworth. Shop, still no. Just curious about the comment. I'm so glad you're writing more. Haha, I really enjoyed Kirby Olsen's Downward Spiral, and I really like the tone of this one so far too. I like the idea that these are Gord's diary/journal entries. That's a neat angle to tell the story from. Can't wait to see what happens next. Because not a single part of this was written outside of the diary, which is insane to me. Please write better. Okay, here we go. Chapter 2. Dear Diary. Okay, I'm getting tired of writing Dear Diary every time I make an entry. The author maybe did it twice. All right, good talk. I'll just write on. I went to the football field as scheduled, where I met Prefect Seth standing beside the lawnmower. What I thought was a rideable lawnmower was actually a generic lawnmower, one that you don't sit on. I was flabbergasted. The prefect laughed and told me that a boxer shouldn't have any problem pushing for long periods of time, and to basically suck it up. Nearby, a group of jacks watched me with grins, looking ready to kick my ass the second the prefect leaves. Unfortunately for them, Seth is pretty much forced to observe me until I carry out my punishment. He's just as irritated as I was that he has to stay where he is and make sure that I don't fuck off somewhere else. So, after a couple of attempts of turning the petrol mower on, the damn thing finally stuttered to life, and I almost dropped it in shock, but held it tightly as I began to cut the stupid grass. It's barely longer than an inch. It didn't need cutting. But luckily, there wasn't much difference to the cutting. Seth yawned his head off while the jerks nearby started to grow impatient. Well, they'll just have to suck it up. Drop the whole lawnmower. And I don't even know how you'd drop it, because push mowers, the handle is like in place. You can't drop a push mower. I don't think this person's ever seen a push mower, to be honest. But anyway, it sounds like they're trying to describe a weed whacker and a push mower at the same time. But anyway. But luckily there wasn't much difference in the cutting, blah blah blah. Menial work is just painstakingly boring. It took me a good 20 minutes to cover the whole field, and even then the jocks were cajoling and that I missed patches, and the bastard prefect listened to them, as he demanded I do a perfect job. So that took me another 20 minutes. But patience has its limits, and Seth was practically seething that he's missing his coffee breaks. Alright, that's enough, you can go, he snapped, and I quickly handed him the petrol mower and hurried my way up the steps before the jocks could make a move. I'm sure Ted has fed them some extorted lies about me, because they all look rather pissed off at me. Then something dreadful happened. I turned right towards Harrington House without thinking, but my heart raced as I was being chased by a horde of beefed up steroid monkeys. Steroid monkeys, and I accidentally bumped into Parker. Literally one of my favorites, and his eyes widened as he held my arms. The surprise melted away to anger. You destroyed my Nomi? He spat and shoved me. I gave him a puzzled look. What? Who? My garden gnome. Darby told me that you're the one who violated him. May I have a cringe for violated him, please? Thank you. He screeched and it's a gnome. He screeched and shot forward to seize my wrists, yelling at the approaching group running towards us. Fuck this guy up and I'll pay you all $10 each. Panic seized me and, oh, I can't bear to write anymore. I need to go. Oh no, he's garden gnome. Yeah, that's so sad. Get his ass. I'm back. I left to throw up in the bathroom because what happened still made me feel so sick to my stomach. Basically, my once friend Parker threw me into the lions. They dragged me back to the football field. Parker would never fucking do that, by the way. And Dan and Kirby held my arm. Love you, Kirby. Held my arms tightly as one by one, each jock punched and kicked me. My face, legs, knees, stomach, basically anywhere that's a part of me. Probably could have just left it at punched and kicked me. Didn't need to add the locations of the punching and kicking if it's all of you. Okay, thanks. Then I heard something buzzing and I almost died on the spot. Classic died on the spot behavior that's been used twice this fic alone. Very good. And I almost died on the spot when I saw one of them holding hair clippers. No! I yelled, but This time, even my legs were held still when one of those thugs grabbed my shirt, tearing it, and the clippers sheared into my hair, and searing pain scraped my scalp. They all hooted. They briefly let go of me, and I crumpled to the cut grass. Someone stamped on my back, Damon, that fucking bastard, and I swore something broke in my ribcage as a sharp pain stabbed me. I gasped deeply, and the pain intensified. Yeah. And the pain intensified my cry into a groan. Not so tough now, are ya? Ted bellowed in laughter. I saw darkness, mostly because it was evening, but cringe for assault. Okay, very good. Mostly because it was evening, but the floodlights lit up automatically and shone on my sorrowful state. My shoes disappeared. Where did they go? There are holes in my socks and my favorite Aquaberry shirt has been torn. This is like one of those tragic theater plays with the floodlights all shining on me. Except I'm a fallen angel. A clown. A nobody. A pauper. Yeah. Where did they go? I have no idea. Get up and box us, gnome fucker, Kirby taunted. I pushed myself up to push myself to stand up, but the self-deprecation, yeah. But the second I got off my hands, a sneaky uppercut slammed my jaw and sent me flying back and sprawled on the grass again. The crowd hooted and laughed. Blood didn't stop seeping from my nose, and I'm so sure that I'm gonna lose a couple of teeth. Fight, 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 the morons yelled, circling us, and their noises, drowned while my vision swirled. Then what happened next amazed me. Ahead of me, running up to Ted from behind, was unmistakably one of the greasers shouting while holding a baseball bat in the air and wearing a vest made out of firecrackers. A suicide? Oh my god, stop right now! I forgot about this part! On the other hand, the team saw and screamed, backing up from the suicide bomber, and Ted shrieked, falling back on his ass. Leave him alone, Vance shouted, holding the lighter out threateningly. Come any closer and I'll take us all to hell. I couldn't get up. I felt too weak, too ashamed, too humiliated. Ted complied with a pale bile. Oh man. Domestic terrorism has nothing on this fig. Okay, anyway. Ted complied with a paling face, and the jocks ran away from the field. Vance charged towards me, dropping the bat and putting his lighter away while staring at me in horror. His hands were held out at me, unsure of what to do, but instead kneeled down beside me and wrapped my arm around his shoulder. Come on, hero, walk tall. Ugh, now I'm stealing Peanuts lines, he murmured and hoisted me to my feet. The jabbing pain in my chest throbbed and I grit my teeth. You alright? Did they break a bone? Don't think so, but it hurts to breathe. Is it your rib? Vance said, looking at my torso and grimaced at my blood on my ruined shirt. You need the hospital. Things I say on the road. Yeah. Love her. Okay. Thinking of the semis that get stuck. No, I don't. But I felt close to passing out, so I allowed him to guide me away. The walk must have been long, but I can remember hearing the sound of an engine whirring, a motorbike, and waking up to mumble answers to a concerned doctor. I don't know, just want to say, all right, at least you're honest. It turned out that I broke a couple of ribs and clots were going to form around my bruises, so I had to stay in hospital in Bulworth. Of course, my mother was called, but she's too frazzled with father's affairs to come over, telling me to perk up before hanging the phone. But thank God I still have money on my health insurance. Hello? He needs the cringe. Bad mom. Cringe moment, yeah. Although Vance didn't have to stay, he did. Here, we're in neutral territory. No cliques are created, just melded together. I finally relaxed properly. The adrenaline left me completely worn out. Thanks for helping me, I rasp. And health insurance? Yeah. Don't be. Vance shrugged it off. I heard a commotion going on, and it was at a weird time of the night. So you just helped me? What for? He looked away, fidgeting in his seat. Do I need a reason? It's not a fair fight. They were all ganged up on you. I guess it's true. Fighting an entire football team by yourself is suicide. Even Biff would have trouble. Love you, Biff. Hi, Biff mention. Everything's been about guesses and probabilities lately. What will it be next? Hey, I know this might sound weird, but, you wanna go see a movie later? He stumbled, messing with his neck. I stared at him as he watched me expectantly or sheepishly. I crossed my arms, which was hard because my wrists are both strained. Love you, Biff, even though he's barely been here. In our own goddamn world when another character is mentioned. Thank you for the cringe. Injury? Is this because I'm now a pleb like you? No, Vance groaned. I just think you're interesting now that you're not swamped with priorities. By priorities, I'm sure he means my friends. Former friends. Parker's smugged face as I got dragged away by the jocks sneered itself in my mind, and I clenched my hands angrily. 32 pleb! Stop using it is quite often. Hey, sorry, I didn't mean that in a bad way, the red-haired greaser said gently and held out a tissue to me. God, this is embarrassing. I can't believe I'm crying in front of someone who isn't my mother. I can't even move because of the throbbing pain. The only reason I managed to get up earlier was because the memories made me sick enough to hobble to the loo. I need a cringe, please. I can't. I can't. Okay, I wanted to turn over and face away from the grease monkey, but British people, yeah. But lying on my side hurts more, the side where my rib was broken. It's cool, man. I don't say a word about this to anyone. Vance talked lowly. Somehow his accent sounded comforting. It reminded me of this one nanny that father hired to babysit me when I was 5. Maybe it's why I accepted the tissue from his hand, but held them for a few seconds. He didn't let go. He just let our fingers touch. Ugh. God, I feel like such a baby. Maybe I can spread rumors that I had to be put on painkillers so strong that I regressed. I promise, Vance reiterated softly, making him look and sound like a completely different person. If it makes you, thank you. If it makes you feel better, I cried when my daddy got locked up for stabbing Mama. What? I blubbed in shock. Finally, my stupid tears stopped. Yeah, he nodded. Not many of us. Not many of us in New Coventry have a decent home life, mostly because jobs aren't plentiful. I'd have thought that with the benefits that scroungers live off on, very good. They live the high life without working a day in their lives, I snapped, but I shut my eyes at the hurt look on his face. Since when did I start feeling guilty of pointing these things out? I mean, you lot can just sell your food stamps. Cringe, hold on, I'll be right back. Not being an older, yeah. Oh man. Okay. Where was I? They can't be exchanged for cash, Dumbo. Vance rose an eyebrow, but made no move to leave like I thought he would. I knew when my daddy tried doing that and he got cautioned, but my mama, she's always carried herself with respect. She used to be a showgirl in the carnival. Relationships with the punters aren't allowed, but she met my old man and of course she got pregnant. Mr. Crane found out and threw a chair at her and fired her, so she went to live with daddy down in New Coventry. But she told me that she wished that she never met him. She doesn't regret having me because she's always told me how to treat ladies properly so that I won't be a dirtbag like that scum. So I began wishing I was alone. But I mean, me too, after him being... He's like, I'm going to tell you my backstory right after you were literally almost murdered. And also I almost suicide bombed everyone, which would have taken you with me, arguably. But anyway... Wild ride this has been the past few minutes. So, I began wishing that I was alone. What happened after he stabbed her? Then Vance suddenly laughed, but it lacked warmth. It was chilling. Okay, thank you for reiterating. Arranged her funeral from prison, of course. Oh, damn. I would have given her a proper send-off, but he got her buried in the graveyard at Bulworth Cathedral. She told me that she'd want to become part of the ocean, so I told Papa that she should be cremated, have her ashes scattered, but he told me that she can rot in the cold, hard dirt for all I care, and be eaten by maggots and worms for leaving me with a wimpy son. I could only blink and utter, "Your father is an absolute douchebag." I know, right? Vance snorted. Sorry for suddenly unloading that on you. I haven't had anyone to talk to about her death since last week. last week. Are you serious? Forgot. Oh my god. Last week? My face said it all as he nodded grimly. No wonder he seems jumpy and lost for a greaser. Greasers ooze oil and confidence. Vance looked too pale for his red hair. But when we passed notes and maths, he was so full of He was so full of warmth. I was the only attendee. I went to her old friends at the carnival, but they refused to have anything to do with her. They said she was a thief who regularly stole spare change to buy makeup, and that kind of set me off, and I was beating up this midget with a garden gnome, and then the cops got called and I was in prison for 2 nights. It was fun explaining my absence to Scrabble to Dr. Crabble Snitch. Oh my god, I forgot about the random plot points they love throwing in. It's my favorite part. Okay. How did you not get expelled? I gaped. I got suspended instead, just to show the carnival that I learned my lesson. But I want to go back there and kick their asses again. So... your mother, I started quietly. I suppose having you changed her, huh? I don't know. He nodded solemnly and dug in his back pocket, tugging out his wallet and a tiny black and white photograph of a flirty woman with a peacock-style feathers blooming from the back of her sparkly spandex swimsuit. Her roctitious red lips were stretched into a grin as she ran her gloved hand through her long curls. Did she have red hair too, I wonder? Yeah, she's the most beautiful, Vance explained, sounding happy. Even before she died, she was the prettiest woman I've known. Daddy, on the other hand, he shuddered. I don't know what she saw in him. He's one mean and ugly motherfucker. Literally, I uttered before I could stop myself and clapped my hands to my mouth, but Vance burst out laughing. Fucking hell, he gasped, wiping his eyes and trying not to be too loud. Okay, that was unexpected. That's too perfect. People don't talk like that. Please go to prison. I didn't mean to sound disrespectful, I appealed, but he snorted and cackled. Jimmy was right. You're great to talk to about this kind of thing. Jimmy suggested me, I gasped. Why? He said he knows that what it's like losing family, and I heard that your daddy's gone to prison too, he grinned. Plus your social awkwardness is pretty cute, thanks. Ugh. Okay, since Grace is gone, I have to add my own cringe. There we go. That was I tried to say what I was thinking, but the words refused to come out. Pride at this time? It's more likely than I think. You're welcome. And I was reading that, by the way, just to make that clear. Vance stood up and stretched his arms with a yawn. I better get going. Johnny's gonna wonder where his motorbike's gone. Oh, you took me here on a motorbike? I stared, and he nodded sheepishly. If it's to save a life, he'll forgive me. Although he'll have me cleaning your blood off it to show how sincere I am. Vance, I said quickly, as he was about to leave. When will they discharge me? They said tomorrow, hopefully, he answered. But I'll get whatever notes I can get on my hands to pass on to you. I waved my hand. Just leave them in my locker. It'll save you the trip of coming here again and again. All right. Well, get well soon. He nodded before leaving, and I sighed, relaxing. For someone whose mother got murdered only last week, he seemed like he was trying really hard to keep himself from falling apart. Oh, man. But doesn't he have his other friends to talk to? Those other grease monkeys? I admit I feel really bad for him. At least I lost one parent temporarily, and that's distressing enough. But having a parent murdered and the other locked up? Does Vance look after himself? Is this a normal thing with paupers? I hope that Vance told the school about my assault. As much as I want to sue the entire football team for assault, it won't work because they are the future all-star team and they make little mistakes and will be apologetic because they have a strong athletic prowess. That was a lot in one sentence. Thank you so much. Bastards. If I were there with the preps, they'd be our mortal enemies aside from the greasers. The streetlights switched on outside and I tried sleeping, but I think half an hour passed when the door suddenly clicked open and Vance returned with a small smile, carrying something in his hand, something wrapped up in silvery foil wrapping paper. He seemed hesitant, but handed it out to me. I've seen what those morons did to your hair, and I know how much it hurts to lose your hair like that. Epic Vance moment. Memories of the jocks and that horrible hair clipper returned to haunt me. How bad is it? Thank you for the cringe. Just to catch you up to speed, The mom was murdered last week. I think you missed that part. So there you go. Vance's mom was murdered last week. All right. Glad to get you up to speed. All right. Go ahead, throw a cringe on for that as well. Okay. Memories of the jocks and that horrible hair clipper return to haunt me. How bad is it? I whisper, unconsciously feeling my hair and the path of hair cruelly shaved to 1 millimeter short. I don't want to look in a mirror. Never. Bad, he sighed. I don't want to lie or cover it up, but it's bad enough to make me feel bad for you. So I nipped to town earlier and got you something. I accepted the present/item. Just say present, but go off, and carefully tugged the silver wrapping, more like tinfoil that you'd wrap around a chocolate bar, but I said nothing out of politeness, revealing a navy blue aquaberry beanie, the newest edition, the one that father said he'd gift me for the upcoming Christmas holiday when we go to Switzerland. Hey, Gord? Vance uttered, you alright? I wasn't. I just felt the material while examining the intricate stitching of the Aquaberry logo on the side. Definitely real. Fashion-wise, we always wear the hats and beanies with the logo facing to the right to signify that the buyers always look the right way. Oh my god, please add a cringe. That was so bad. I slid on the beanie on experimentally, and already the hat's warmth comforted me. I turned it so that the logo faced on my left side. Add another, please. Oh man. I love it, I murmur. But how did you afford it? Vance just shrugged. I had some spare cash lying around. But Aquaberry products are very pricey, I exclaimed. It's not something that spare cash could buy. Honest, Vance argued and held his hands up. I did had enough to splash, so don't worry about it. I've seen these beanies selling for $60. How on earth okay, $60 I feel like for like a designer product isn't that bad, so for a hat that's fucked up, but like for a designer hat, not that bad. Okay, how on earth does Vance even have the money to how does Vance have the money to even get it? They put words in weird spots that fucking trip me up so bad. It's also that's true, but I don't think they consider that 99% of the time. Or maybe they do. I really don't remember. If they mention having a cell phone at fucking all, I don't think they do, actually, now that I think about it. But yeah, you're right. It is the early to late 2000s. Well, mid to late. 60 can get you meals at Bulworth Academy for a month if you're from a low-income family, but the stress of today's events drained me. I'm too exhausted to argue any further, as I suppressed a yawn and relaxed against the pillow. I better let you sleep, Vance murmured. Just get well soon. Don't tell me what to do, pauper. Okay. Thank you, Gord. I yawned and shut my eyes. I hear him laugh before the door clicked shut. At least my beanie will keep my head warm until my hair grows out. Thankfully, it's cold enough to wear beanies indoors and outdoors. I just got 2 months to grow my hair out before I could cut it evenly again. Mother would have a fit if she saw what those jock buffoons did to my hair. I don't think I'd want to look in the mirror for myself, not even if I have clippers myself to even it. Maybe Vance would know a thing or two about hair maintenance aside from brushing hair back and spraying an entire can on it. Hey, he spends a lot of time on that. You be nice to him. Damn, he spent $60 on your goofy ass. It's been a few days and I neglected you, dear diary, but I'm back with more news. Okay, no pause or break, but go off. As promised... Thank you for the cringe. As promised, Vance left notes in my locker as well as the latest guesses to the Hangman game. It took me a while, but I got caught up with homework. The teachers, apart from Mr. Hatchick, understood my limited abilities, and Miss Phillips, she recently married Mr. Galloway, was so kind as she even secretly slipped a chocolate bar in my bag as she passed fellow classmates to examine their paintings. The art subject of the day was to make a portrait, oh no, here we fucking go, man, of someone close to you on A3 paper using any medium. Other classmates painted best friends, their pets, even teachers. Sheldon is such a fanboy of Dr. Crabble Stitch, it's gross. Oh god. But while my good for them. But while my mind lingered on my father, my paintbrush dipped in green paint rather than brown and daubed dark green irises. Then the paintbrush eagerly lapped auburn and smooth. I'm gonna kill myself. This isn't how painting works. It's fucking awful. I hate painting. It is not like this. In smooth strokes, topped with gloss to imitate hair grease, and quick freckles soon appeared with smudges from my thumb, smearing 4B pencil Okay, wait. Are you using, graphite or pencil, or paint? Be honest, you can't do both. I mean, you can, but it'd look fucking weird. They don't know about art either. This is terrible. Graphite upon the rosy cheeks of Oh my goodness, Gord! A sharp gasp startled me, and thank God my paintbrush was nowhere near the leather jacket's creases. Mrs. Phillips looked like she was about to pass out as she stared at my portrait, thank you for the cringe, hands close to her mouth. Gord, you... My cheeks burned in embarrassment. I know it's tacky, miss, but... No buts, she said firmly, and all eyes were on me. Oh God. This is so, like... self-insert core. Oh God. I did say that the subject of the day is to paint someone important to you, but if I had known that you were this brilliant in art, I'd have placed you in a higher group to do the still lifes. I don't think okay, portraits are way fucking harder than still lifes. I am going to kill someone. No buts. I am going to kill someone. Are you fucking serious? Please Google one thing about art. I'm on my fucking knees over here. Still lifes are step 1. Portraits are insanely difficult. He's doing it from memory, by the way, which is literally worse. Whatever. I don't think it's that good, I laughed nervously, but everyone still gaped at me and whispered about the very obvious painting of Vance Medici, smiling shyly. Nonsense, Gord, she smiled brightly. Not even Jimmy could add emotion in the muse's expressions. His were all about body positions, which is usual, but actual emotions are difficult to convey. I'll expect you to keep this in the art locker safe and sound after class. From now on, this will be a part of your coursework. Huh? You mean it wasn't before? What was he painting for? Thank you for the cringe. Huh? Yes, Mrs. Phillips, I muttered, looking at the painting's curious eyes. How did I do it? Just how? Was I that good at art all along? Is it just these weird feelings about everything happening to me lately finally unleashing the floodgates of my creative juices? Thank you for the cringe. I was gonna ask for one. Shut the fuck. Yeah, it's really bad. Wow. Okay. The lesson resumed, and I added more to Vance's jacket, but I feel that I'm missing something about it. Then I remembered and painted an aquaberry silver chain on his left wrist. I know he doesn't usually wear jewelry aside from an earring, but if he were richer, then it would look very tasteful on him. The lesson ended and I left as fast as I could, but Christy and Angie then suddenly simultaneously grabbed my shoulders, chattering away at 100 miles per hour. How did you do that? It's so cool, Christy gushed, and Angie almost swooned. It's so beautiful. Does Vance know that you paint him? Then, annoyingly, Mandy skipped over and shoved the girls aside in a comment. Love you, Mandy! Hi, Mandy! In a comical fashion and batted her eyelashes at me. Think you want to sneak into my room later and do a still life of me wearing my pajamas? That's not a still life! Okay, I've had enough. You need to add 3 for all the art errors, because I'm gonna lose my goddamn mind. Everything about art that they say is wrong. And I don't mean to sound like a snob or anything, but oh my god. 1. Google search. I'm gonna Google search still life right now. Mostly inanimate objects, subject matter, typically commonplace. I just... This is... I guess... I feel like that shouldn't be counted as a still life, because those are fucking people. But maybe people do count. I feel like it shouldn't. That's just a fucking painting. But go off. Art times 3. Okay, anyway. Never in my goddamn life. Because that's fucking life drawing at that point. Which is different. But anyway. Okay. Then Beatrice barged into her side and made her squeal as she got real close to my face. I can practically see her braces glinting. That portrait is the downfall of empires. Cringe for Beatrice, please. You must privately tutor me on how to paint that great. I gently pushed her away from me, only for Eunice to bulldoze the nerd against Manny, and they fell into the trash can together. Hey, handsome, do you want to do a Greek-style portrait of me? Beat it, fatso, Mandy spat angrily and pushed her but fell against my shoulder. Sweet as sugar again. I'll even gladly pay you in many ways. So many cringes. Behind her, Angie and Christy rolled their eyes. Ew, Gord would rather be paid in cash and not STDs. Christy. For fat phobia, of course. Christy bitched, and the cheerleader gasped sharply, turning to suddenly slap her, and the fiery redhead punched her on the nose. A couple of nerds nearby hooted and cheered. Catfight! Cornelia screamed, and the other students quickly flooded to watch Christy make short work of the top cheerleader, suddenly picking her up and slammed her into a trash can. Meanwhile, I just stood there in pure shock that the female species, cringe for female species please, briefly flocked to me for my artistic talent only to dissolve into a fight. But Lolo's not here, thankfully, because I don't want Johnny Vincent to come out of nowhere and slaughter me. For female species. I mean, that shit was funny, to be honest. Species? Super bad. Oh, man. The whole thing is in italics. Just wait till it's not. It takes like 4 chapters of 11 to get to sections where there's no fucking italics. I promise. It's there pretty much the whole time. Also, because I had so much juice at the beginning of the stream, I have to piss. And this will happen at least 4 more times as we continue. So I will be right back. Give me like... Sorry. I skipped ahead a little bit. I'll be back. Okay, I'm back down. Honestly, I don't need the headphones on. It's a force of habit. I'm sorry. I'll probably put them back on later if I'm honest. Thank you. It was good to be back. Take a sip of every time goes to. Oh my god. Popper, fucking pleb is another big one. Is annoying. Yeah. You will also have to piss 7,000 times. I started doing that with my 2 liter of juice, but juice is hard to drink. Like, what is going on? It makes it hard to read. And also, we would be on 54 drinks by now. So I feel like it'd almost be gone. So, you know. Anyway. I'm so excited for this next chunk. Thank God. Oh, good grief. Charlie Brown Core. Barely 1 hour since art finished, and there are already rumors that I painted a nude painting of Vance. It, no, not for Charlie Brown, Core. How could you? To my horror, he was standing by my locker with a big grin and waved at me. I turned to run, but he yelped. Wait, I want to talk. There's nothing to discuss. I snapped and stormed away. Classes already began, but I decided to skip shop. Apparently, like always, not the downward spiral of Gord. Okay, fine. The last thing I want is to enter the territory of the group that Vance came from, and I doubt they'd take kindly to the presence of someone who is rumored to have painted nudes of him. Wait, please hear me out, he begged and held my sleeve. I stopped, but didn't look at him. He moved into my line of sight, but I faced away, and he groaned. Come on, don't be a baby. I'm not mad about those rumors. I know that Mrs. Phillips would never permit nudes. And I know you're not that kind of guy. What kind? I hissed, glaring at him. The F-slur kind? Yes! Woo! Let's go! Okay. He just rolled his eyes. Nothing wrong with that. I like guys and gals, so don't beat yourself up if you're the same. You know how much I love those. Okay, anyway. Father would bury me if he knew I kissed boys, I practically snarl. I like how he's suddenly homophobic at himself despite kissing Jimmy earlier in the thing, but okay, whatever. Father speaks about the gays. Cringe for the gays, please, with such vehemence. Vance frowned at me. It's not... Ugh. He quickly shook his head. We're getting off track. I don't mind that you painted me, but is it true that you painted me? He started to sound excited. Please let me see it. I just inhaled and looked about the corridor for prowling prefects. None at the moment. Good. Follow me, I whisper, and we ran to the art room where it's thankfully empty, and I entered. To me, an empty classroom is surreal. This is probably and honestly, if I wrote this, so would I. Holy shit. I would kill myself. Okay, it's supposed to be full of life, but right now the only life in there is our Vance and I, and all these other paintings and statues. Very good. I went to the row of lockers and found mine, punching in my code, and opened to pull out my latest work. Vance took it in his hands, staring at it. Thank you for your cringe. Staring at it in awe. I grew uncomfortably. Another cringe, please. I know it's not that great. It's brilliant, he gasped. Holy fucking, you're an amazing artist, Gord. Oh shit, you need to become an artist, not a lawyer. I'd rather get into a profession that guarantees you money, not in the one where your deviant art designs get stolen by Chinese-run clothing companies. I rolled my eyes. Part-time then, Vance bursts. Gord, this is just amazing. Don't you think it's good? Thank you for the cringe. Not particularly, I mumble, and looked at his face and then the portrait. I missed some details about you, like how your left nostril looks smaller than the other and you have very light freckles on your neck. Cringe, please. Vance blinked and glanced at a nearby mirror, gasping. Weird, yeah. No way! I never knew that! Cringe, please. But the painting is still awesome! Mrs. Phillips told me to keep it for my coursework, so as soon as the exams are over, I'm going to trash it. Nuh-uh! I'll keep it, Vance begged. Please! Nobody's ever done something like this for me before. Alright, I sighed, but only if you keep it out of my sight. You say cringe? Oh, good. I'm glad we're in agreement. Okay. Thanks. I hear him breathe and watched him smiling as he examined the painting. If I had known you love yourself that much, I'd have taken a photo of you. Thank you for the cringe. I joke as he shook his head. Nah, photos aren't as intimate as paintings. You really had to picture my face just to get this much detail. Intimate, huh? I murmur, watching him. I don't think like that. I just try to get the details as accurate as possible. It's a good trait for soon-to-be lawyers like me. Well, you're really perceptive, Vance agreed. Then his face lit up. Hey, you should do a portrait of Johnny and Lola for his birthday. One of my favorite plot lines. Thank God it's being introduced. I'm so fucking excited. I blinked, stunned. Pardon? Yeah, Johnny's not that big on the arts, but me and the other guys want to do something unusual and special for him. Like if we could get a photograph of Johnny and Lola being romantic, then we can try and get someone to paint it. It'll look more romantic when it's painted. Thank you for your cringe. I didn't say anything. The idea sounds amazing, but how romantic. Like just kissing and hand holding, or Vance's ears reddened. We're thinking more passionate like. Passion, eh? Yeah. So clothes off and nude. I can't do it. Thank you for the cringe. Come on, please. Throwing up, yeah. The greaser begged, and held my arm as I turned to leave. Every year we get him parts for his bike that are hard to get a hold of in Bulworth, and cakes from the usual bakery. But it's stuff that you can get anytime. This painting will be for his and Lola's eyes only. He loves her so much it would mean a lot to him. To him, maybe, I utter. You do know Lola, right? Of course I know. I briefly dated her, but she was more in love with my presents for her than she was for me. Yeah, Vance sighs. I get where you're going. One day, though, Johnny will dump her ass for good. I wouldn't mind dating him. Oh, okay, but the... huh? Okay, out of fucking nowhere. Okay, but the guy's already agreed we'll commission you to do a painting. Wait, you only just decided from hearing only rumors about my painting? Of course, Vance beamed. We'll all chip in to pay for the painting, but we'll pay you 50 for one normal painting. How does that sound? 50? I have to think about this. You didn't paint a nude, right? Okay, I want you to paint a nude of 2 other people. Yeah. I have to think about this. Although money is tempting since my allowance will be severely limited, I'm not sure that doing a painting of 2 people is worth that money. In fact, I've never been paid to make art for someone before. Paints won't cost that much since I still have my art kit in my suitcase for this year's art curriculum. But then the added cost of labor and timing around my other homework. I'll suppose I'll accept it, I sighed. $50 it is then. Vance fist bumped in the air. I'm sorry, fist bump the air, excuse me. Great, we'll get you a photo and then you can work your magic, he said delightedly. Johnny's birthday is a couple months away, so we're in no rush. All right. It must have been the excitement from the idea, my acceptance, and the portrait, but Vance lunged and hugged me tightly before rushing out the art room to tell his friends the news. His cologne still lingered on my sweater, but it left an intoxicating rush that made me tug the material to my nose and inhale deeply. Thank you for your cringe. After that, I left the classroom, carefully shutting the door behind me, and left for the cafeteria. Lots of leaving in that sentence, thank God. Cafeteria food is abysmal and degrading to my stomach, but at least it fills me up until the evening. I had no idea that pauper food is so cheap to buy, but I still wouldn't have gone for it in a rush. I automatically walked to the preps table, only to force myself to quickly turn and accidentally bumped into the greasers table. Many eyes fell on me, suspicious and apprehensive, but a face lit up and Vance waved at me. Oh, sip of water. Yeah. Thank God. Happy sip of water. Many eyes fell on me, suspicious and apprehensive, but a face lit up and Vance waved at me. Hey, Gord, come sit with me, he called, and a few heads turned in the cafeteria, conversations dying. I shrunk with embarrassment. Of course, why not? I laughed nervously and sat beside him, away from the rest of his group. Look at me, hiding like a kitten. Vance chortled and wrapped an arm around me in a rough but friendly way. Gord said he'll do that painting for Johnny and Lola, he announced to his friends, excited, and they murmured, feigning interest but still smiling for his sake. How much? Hal suddenly asked, staring at me. 50, because it's gonna take a while, I answered in Vance's place. I don't want him to talk for me. Thank you for the cringe. I don't want him to talk for me every time. The greasers muttered, sounding displeased. Well, art is not easy to do, especially with all the homework you get in studying for exams this year, I argue. Vance still held his arms around me, and the gazes from the other people intensified. We're all gonna chip in anyway, Vance added, and they nodded in agreement, eating more of their lunches. Hey, Gord, I heard you fucked Lola. Lefty sniggered randomly, and I almost choked on my spaghetti. I did not fuck her, I wheezed and pounded my chest. I'd rather catch rabies than STDs. I just signed my death warrant. But to my surprise, the greasers roared in laughter and practically collapsed. Vance tried not to laugh, finally removing his warm arm from around me. Don't let Johnny hear that, he warned me with a grin. Never, seriously, Lefty chortled. Oh no, don't you want to hear? Please. And it's sad because I know, like, canonically, the greasers aren't a huge fan of Lola, but get it together. She's your girl. Like, come on, man. Never, seriously, Lefty chortled. As long as you're with us, you're to be respectful of the boss and his gal at all times. Got it? Understood. I nod, then did a double take. Wait, with you? Of course, Van said excitedly. You're no prep anymore since you got kicked out of Carrington, and you're too cool to be a nerd, so you clearly gotta be one of us. That made my mind race and dismantle hundreds of years of calculations and rearrange them. Me? A greaser? Someone working on manual labor for hours at a time, charging excessive prices and ripping off middle-class women? If I wanted to live like that, I'd work as a car salesman. Sure, I cough and ate more of my food. The conversation died down then, but resumed on other subjects like bike talk and races coming up in New Coventry. Bike races, I enjoyed participating in, but I don't know New Coventry that well enough to join in the conversation. What do I say to impress these plebs? Water for cat. Thank you for your cringe as well. I race sometimes, I blurted, and they all turned to me. It's either with curiosity or annoyance or both. Mostly in the Vale. The uphill climbs are a better challenge than flat ground. Oh yeah, especially the paths around the church, Norton nodded, and if you're not careful enough going over the dam, you'll fall in. Someone did that and vanished. Remember that, guys? The other murmured solemnly. You got a bike too? Hal asked me. It's starting to feel like they're interrogating me. Just the one bike, I murmured, and he snorted. Relax, we don't all have 5 spare bikes. Nothing wrong with having just one. It's more personal. Personal. A bike is an object, not a person. I talk too much about bikes. It's why my girlfriend left me, Ricky sighed, dejected. Norton patted his back and the others murmured condolences. Surely she should have accepted your passion as a part of you instead of just alienating you for it, I asked out loud. Exactly, Ricky burst. Someone gets it. He glared at his companions, but seriously, riding is a passion that everyone needs to experience at least once. Cars are too expensive to run and keep. Bikes are the way to go. The more time I spent with the greasers, the more crazy facts I discover about their personalities and how they function around each other and themselves. Of course, they love shop classes, bikes, fighting those crazy townie kids, egging houses in the Vale, and anyone who treats their kind with respect. They seem to like me because they didn't tell me to shove off like they did when children asked if he could sit with them, to which they replied by throwing an apple at him and he ran away screaming. I am guilty enough to admit that I laughed like a drain. Okay, most of all, Vance is the chattiest of the group, animatedly talking about all sorts of things, like how he loves the feel of the sunset on his neck when he sits at the beach and listening to the heavy rain at night. As soon as the bell rung and he left, I suddenly got pulled aside by the rest of the group who gave me suspicious glances. I could only shrink under their watch as I am outnumbered. All right, what did you do to him? Hal quickly asked. What? Vance, Norton burst. He's not usually this chatty. He's a quiet guy. Feels wrong and incorrect, but okay, guys. But when you're around, he just doesn't shut up. He raised an eyebrow suspiciously. Is there something going on? No, I yelped. As far as I'm concerned, we are just acquaintances. Lefty stormed close and held my shoulder tightly back against the wall with a glare. Acquaintances don't just paint portraits of each other or give each other expensive gifts. He spat. If you're doing something to lead him on just because you got no friends, then you'll have to face us first before you even think about dating him. What? Dating him? No, I shout and pushed his hand away. I am not dating him, and I have no intention of ever being more than just acquaintances with him. He just feels sorry for me because I have no friends. Oh my god, I forgot. This next part is awful. Pre-cringe, please. Something dropped with a thud, and we all glanced over to see Vance himself standing there with his textbook dropped by his feet, but he paid no attention as he was staring at us, at me, with a stunned look. Vance! Yet my voice cracked. He turned and ran off straight away out of sight, and I was just about to take off in pursuit when Hal seized my arm with a snarl and punched me in the face. Let's go! My head throbbed, but I gave him a hard uppercut into the chin to stun him, and I sprinted after him. I assume after Vance, but okay. But by the time I almost caught up with him, a prefect appeared out of nowhere and collared me the shout. It's why I'm currently sitting in chemistry with this diary entry. I've said hurtful things to idiots before, but why does it hurt so much to me now? Homework to-do list. English, Shakespeare. Maths, calculate the odds of getting 100 respect with the greasers. Biology, dissect my cold heart. Chemistry. Wonder if a friendship is possible with Vance. Gym theory. Improve running. Art. Trash the Vance art. Photography. Take a photo of Vance's sad face. Dude, yeah, this entire thing was like a diary entry. They write, dude, I feel like we need one for every cringe, like, homework to do. Music, my violin for the demise of my reputation. Geography, map of the fucks to give. Shop, build reasons for going on like this and if I'll ever amount to anything. Let's read that comment, shall we? Finally, I was looking everywhere for good Gord X Vance fix. I love your writing style and everything. Update soon, please. Awesome. Very cool. I love reading. Thank you for the cringe for comment, of course. I'm gonna put on lotion really quick. Please hold. So how are we feeling on this so far? How big is this journal? Man, I have no idea. He's crazy for this. Because it sounds like he either does it while it's happening, which is not how that would work, or, like, does it all after. This would make me hungry. For more of your pasta, maybe. My lips are also very chapped, so that's very cool and hot. No, why? It was so good. Ooh, dessert. You are so hot and sexy for thinking of dessert. Okay. Chapter 3, here we go. This will probably have to be the last chapter. It takes way too long to read these damn things. I forgot there was 11 chapters. Honestly, I didn't think I'd get too deep into this, but maybe I thought I'd get a little deeper. $11! Yeah. 80,000 words, baby! Oh, man. I don't know when we're gonna be able to finish this. I'll figure something out. So, thank you for your preemptive cringe. Okay, it's been a few days, but I finally got around to starting that portrait that the Greasers wanted me to paint of their beloved leader and his soon-to-be ex-girlfriend. I say that because there's going to be another damn breakup and they'll fall into each other's arms before you know it. They provided me with a thankfully tame photo of them smiling as they gaze into each other's eyes by the beach at sunset. Whoever took this photo are clearly talented, because I am not sure if I can create a perfect replica of this. Dude, me too. You read this and it's like, damn. Anything is possible. Okay. I'm not sure if I can create a perfect replica of it. Regardless, I accepted the task and got my paints out in my dorm room and set up the easel and took out a soft pencil to start basic outlines. I decided to create a schedule of my days since I'm no longer burdened with money. Sigh. Or all right. Or activities with the preps, another sigh. In other words, I'll probably die as a starving artist without a shred of dignity or a dime to my name. My timetable coincides with the school curriculum. The sigh is really bad. The timetable coincides with the school curriculum in that all my free time will technically be spent with me either in the library studying or painting this portrait in my room. Bike races are a luxury, sadly. Even my Aquaberry Cruiser is sitting in the garage rusting and being smothered in dust. The Greasers talk to me still, but whenever I see Vance, he quickly hides away, or if we're in class, he sits there with a blank look on his face. I wish I could show him gratitude, but how does one show gratefulness to someone you insulted? He's even given me this beanie, a $60, thank you for the callback to the other chapter, a $60 Aquaberry beanie despite not needing to do so. It was then that I broke my rule of sticking to my timetable and quickly hopped on my bike and rode all the way to town and parked in front of my most favorite shop ever, Aquaberry's store itself. Okay. I'm sorry, I gotta... There we go. I entered, and the gentleman greeted me enthusiastically. Young Gord, how have you been keeping? He said excitedly. We've introduced new lines since your last visit. He clasped his hand together with a spark in his eye. So, what are you in the mood for? The shade of light blue has been changed to periwinkle. I ached to buy everything, but of course I must exercise restraint. Not today. I'm getting a gift for a friend. My eyes only wandered to the reduced items clothing rack and table where discounted jewelry sat neatly and neglected. The owner sighed. As disappointed as I am that I'm resorting to the sales table of all things, it's an absolute travesty. No worries, Mr. Vendome. We all fall in hard times at one point. Sorry, I bit back an insult because the last thing I want is to be thrown out before making a purchase, and it was something I saw straight away that I absolutely must get for Vance. I picked up a piece of jewelry and got it gift wrapped in gold paper before paying for it and left. I hightailed it back to Bulworth Academy and ran to the dorm room I knew that gets frequented by Vance, and I practically hammered it before the door opened at House. Stood there sleepily and grumbled. What is it now, Oh, it's you, he blinked. What's up? Is Vance in? His eyes wandered inside the room. I quickly barged past him to storm up to the bed where Vance was lying down with his back to me. Okay, I'm sorry. You can't just do that. That's somebody's room. Please go to jail. Okay, anyway, Vance, I want to apologize, I blurted before Hal could pummel me into the floorboards. I don't look down on you because you're a lower social class than I am, because I am like you now. I'm just finding it difficult to accept the fact that my family is in trouble and that I'll probably never be able to finish my education here unless I get a part-time job to pay for it. Vance, I know we've never been friends, but I feel that we can get along just fine without any trouble, and you're the one who's been patient with me who's been patient this whole time, while I've been whining like a brat. He said nothing but moved a little, and I heard him I heard him sniffle. I panicked. I'm sorry for whatever I said that hurt your feelings. What do you mean, whatever I said? My words petered out before Hal gently put a hand on my shoulder and mumbled. He went to visit his dad in prison earlier. What? I forgot about the side Vance stuff that happens. Where he, has a dad who murdered his mom last week. Okay, enough, Vance croaked, and finally say up and turned, and I am shocked by how red his eyes are. Don't say anything. Sorry, bud, Hal whispered apologetically and left the room, leaving me alone with him. Huh? No, Hal, come back. What? Silence reigned before I hesitantly approached his side and sat down on the creaky bed that definitely belonged to Hal. Vance, I said quietly, and his eyes scrunched before he held back a sob. Okay, holding his hand to his mouth. This startled me, I admit, to see a guy cry so openly in front of me. I did, okay, that was, okay. Toxic masculinity? Cringe. I did have a female cousin cry in front of me, and I could only hug her until her mother calmed her down. We were 6 at the time, and she was angry that she didn't get a pony for Christmas. Okay, the only thing I could do was slowly wrap an arm around his shoulders before my other arm joined the other. Okay, that was enough for me, personally. I have to spell cringe properly to get this to work, thank you. I was half sitting awkwardly, but Vance seemed to have stopped crying because he turned so that he could properly hug me back. I'm so sure he's gotten tears and snot in my sweater from burying his face in it. Neither of us said anything. I could only hug him tighter, tight enough for it to feel comfortable before Vance broke the hug and wiped his eyes on the sleeve of his jacket. Ow, that's a leather jacket. Freak. Sorry, his voice whispered, hoarse and low as though he cried for hours and forgot how he sounded. It's just shit. My daddy. Okay. Yeah, I mumble. He let out a hollow laugh, looking past my head distantly. He killed himself! This is awesome. I forgot how rockin' this fic was. He killed himself right after they declared him medically insane. They took me to his visiting block. I sat there ready to talk to him about Mama's possessions when he just grinned and took a gun to his head and offed himself right there? Oh, man. Wow! I inhaled and what is going on? God, this is awesome. Let's go. I inhaled and stared at him. His hands were still resting on my dude. If you've missed something, so have I. Okay, why does Grace keep leaving during the best parts of the fic? I'm gonna beat her to death when she gets back. Are you shitting me? This is fucking awesome, and I have to tell her after it's happened. Oh my god. His hands were still resting on my lower arms. I've never seen someone commit suicide before, he whispered. When it happened, I just jumped and called for help. But what good did that do? I just watched the guards check his pulse on his wrist and even loaded him onto a trolley. But his brains were all over the goddamn floor and wall. Thank you for the cringe. Yo, suicide! Yeah, so... missed quite a bit. While you were gone, I don't know what you missed, but Gord insulted Vance. Vance got sad. So he went to go apologize, barged into his room that he shares with Hal, and Hal is just like, yeah, his dad. And then Vance is like, yeah, I went to go visit my dad and he fucking killed himself. In front of me in prison. So there you go. That's that's the recap for you there. You have to stop leaving. You keep missing the good shit. Let's go. Okay. Fuck, I breathed, letting go of him. What happened next? Nothing much, he mumbled. It was all a rush. The police... It's okay, I forgive you, but will you be able to forgive yourself? The police barged in because they were already there on a drop-off, and then they started interrogating me to make sure I didn't taunt him into killing myself. He's my daddy. I hate the guy, but suicide? I wouldn't even wish that on someone, not after what I saw. He's a coward, he spat and he snarled. He can't help being withdrawn. Oh! He's always been like this. His doctor even said that he's got untreated mental health conditions. That's no excuse for the bullshit he put you and your mother through, I countered angrily. Why was he making excuses for a scumbag who treated him horribly and also murdered his mother? Even Parker once said that coming from a broken home is an excuse for shit behavior. You won't even have to worry about him anymore. You can just bury the bad memories with him and be done with it. Oh my god, what is going on? I can't believe you, he yelled and shoved me away, standing up. The bad memories don't disappear when scumbags die. The old unspecified mental issues, yeah. They linger. Guns don't kill people, people do. Core. They linger. I'm still getting nightmares of the bastard battering Mama with this bottle from when I was a kid. His eyes were watering again. Maybe this is a good time to hug him. No? You were just like, I'm glad your dad died. When clearly he's having a bit more of a crisis than okay, just leave. Just leave the room, man. It's bad. Just leave him alone. Oh my god, what the fuck? Okay. I stepped close, but he lightly pushed me away, although his outstretched hand curled against my chest into a fist, and he broke down again, hunching over. He coughed out a sob. Why am I crying for that asshole when he's done nothing right with his life? With his life, excuse me. As he uttered that, it brought back memories and thoughts I never had. I remember attending the funeral of one of Father's employees, excuse me. All formal, and everybody was silent and in all black clothing. Yet at the after party, when the alcohol poured down the throats, everybody began speaking ill of the deceased employee, berating him for leaving them with heavy workloads to cope with. Yet father broke down after they left, telling me that it's difficult to know what to feel when you're around other people. He felt that he couldn't cry openly in front of them in case it loses him respect. But I cried when a beloved nanny passed away and nobody scolded me for shedding tears for someone who wasn't related to me. Father said that it's different because the nanny only worked for my father and I had nobody and I had nobody to grieve for her. Huh? Thank you for the cringe, because that shit didn't make any goddamn sense. Thank you for telling it. Too many Gord thoughts, I agree. It's like, okay, man, getting a little self-absorbed. Vance's dad just killed himself in front of him. Holy shit. Is it because, I began hesitantly, there's nobody else to grieve for him? He shook his head, then nodded, then shrugged. I got no other family. My daddy's side live all around the country. Grandma sends money over to pay for my education, but I won't be surprised if she stops paying. I might just end up working at the Yum Yum Market stacking cans. The imagery made me shudder, and I quickly pulled his gift from my pocket. Here, I said hurriedly, and relief flooded me as he accepted the gift with a curious look, not really looking upset. You got me this hat, so I thought, and since you saved me from the jocks... He gave me a hesitant look with his finger on the string wrapped around the wrapping, and I nodded, letting him open it, and he drew in a gasp at the sight of a pair of silver stud earrings. My dad... well, me... yeah, literally. And that's how he is the entire fic. That's how the fic is written, and it's awful. Like, everything bad that happens to Vance, Gord is just like, well... my dad's in prison, so... Holy fuck, he breathed. Look, wasn't Gord... He was. Thank you for noticing. Very cool. He breathed, looking ready to drop them like they're made of Cringe for Satan balls, please. How much were they? Gord, I can't just accept this. We barely even know each other. I want to change that, I said quickly. I want us to be friends. Why, though? He said, admiring the earrings, turning them over in disbelief. I have never seen someone delighted over a simple pair of studs before. You helped me even though you didn't have to. At Bullworth, nobody helps each other for nothing. Vance just stared at me, mouth shut, and advanced towards me. I instinctively took a step back, but found myself suddenly in a tight embrace with his head on my shoulder. I feel the same, he said simply, not breaking contact. I hugged him back, but before I could give him a squeeze, the door opened and Vance parted with a smile, fiddling with the earrings and taking off his gold studs. Thank you for the cringe. Hal walked in looking like he was readying himself to witness a murder and whistled at the new glimmering silver on Vance's earlobes. Please look... No. You can't. Sorry. It's for plot reasons. Or is it? I actually don't remember. Sweet, he asked. Where'd you get them? Gord got them. Gord got them me? All right. Thank you for the cringe. He said proudly, smiling brightly. They look even better than gold. They would, I spoke up. Gold and black is rather tacky, but the silver goes beautifully with your jacket. Shit, you're right, the redhead laughed and scratched his head. Don't let Johnny hear that, though. He has got that single gold stud as a gift from Lola. Oh yeah, speaking of which, Hal suddenly said, turning to me, how goes that painting? Still sketching the outlines, but I did more than I thought, I answered truthfully. Good, good, he nodded and scratched his head. So, Vance, how are you feeling? A lot better thanks to you two, Vance replied, looking depressed again, thank God. I had to hit us with the depression really quick because he forgot to be sad. I'm just going to go to the funeral directors and sort out this whole mess. I'll need to let Miss Danvers know too, and then handed my letter to Dr. Crabblesmitch. Letter? I murmured without thinking, but Hal paled and he suddenly held his shoulder. Can you specify who's holding his shoulder, please? Thank you. Oh my god. You can't, he gasped. You can't. If you do, you'll... I know! He snapped and yanked himself away, upset. But... Imagine a world... I know, it's crazy, isn't it? Couldn't be me. The only emotion I'm feeling right now is, indescribable joy. But with what's going on, I don't know if catching up at this rate is possible. I already flunked the exams. Dr. Crabblestitch won't be forgiving any longer unless I leave and restart the year. Leaving? Oh, please never take my cringe counter away. I'm gonna have to turn it off if you're gonna, like, keep using it during other streams. To be honest. What are you talking about, I ask. I'm planning to leave Bulworth Academy, Vance muttered. My grades are already shit, but now that my... No! But now that my parents are dead, I got the flat to sort out and get it. Wait, huh? Let me reread that. I'm sorry. I'm planning to leave Bulworth Academy, Vance muttered. My grades are already shit, but now that my parents are dead, I got the flat to sort out. Oh, I forgot. The author is British or something. He means apartment. and getting myself a place of my own as well as jobs and shit. He touched his earrings, staring at me. Education isn't gonna pay for the bills. I could only stare. His dad was yeah, so he already had to deal with the... Yeah, I don't know. His mom has only been dead for a week, though, in all fairness. So maybe they didn't get that figured out as it is, you know? I don't know. Not to defend this or anything. It's not worth defending. Okay, I could only stare back at him with the news sinking in, but the news still sunk, showing no signs of sticking to my mind out of disbelief. You can't leave, I blurt. You're on low income. You're qualified for the Bulworth Dreamers bursary, so you can get by on a part-time job and living with friends. Yeah, but it won't work. Okay, why is he living off campus anyway? There's literally a fucking dorm on campus. And none of... Huh? Just live in the dorm. You're in there right now. You are literally living in the dorm right now. What is going on? Whatever. Okay. Yeah, but it won't work. Vance groaned. That was really bad. Vance groaned. Don't you understand, Gord? My parents are dead. And my daddy's left me with nothing to pay for his funeral. He sold most of our shit to the townies for a few bucks just to piss off Mama before he glassed her to death. My parents are dead. I need money to pay for everything. Food, heating, even fucking clothes. He stopped breathing. Mom? Voice trapped as his eyes squeezed shut. Hal held his shoulders and he collapsed against him, holding back sobs. Helpless, I stepped close, but Hal just glowered. No breathing? Yeah. Epic Batman moment also, you're right. Aww. So cute. Okay, and I took that as a cue to slink out the room. Sorry, I murmured and closed the door before I leaned against it with a growl at my own insensitivity. The fire bell then suddenly blared. Thank God, but at this rate I'd rather burn to death than face Vance, who is clearly descending into a panic attack. I've seen Parker have a panic attack before, and it's a deeply unsettling experience for me. What about the person having the panic attack? But go off. I thought something was wrong with him, medically, and got Miss Peabody to see him, but she yelled at us and that she'd rather work on people with actual injuries before leaving him with me. Yeah, this is awful. All I could do was stumble out reassurances that everything was okay. Parker's trigger, his antagonistic father's voice on the phone, always delivering bad news. I've only studied mental illnesses for a couple of days after Parker's panic attack because I was just curious. PTSD, anxiety, depression, borderline personality disorder, very frightening ailments. But I feel that when I become a lawyer in the future, knowing these things can mean the difference between having a client put to death or committed to an asylum. Not to mention that I'm always curious to see what the Happy Volt's asylum is like on the inside. What is happening? Oh no, so what if I'm next? That's so funny, wait. Oh man. And as much, I don't know, 4, I'm confused. Okay, thank you. And that's as much diary writing as I could put down in this half an hour. Dude, to write that much, it'd take me like 3 hours, especially on paper. Are you insane? Hello? Thank goodness my handwriting is legible to me because I don't know who else can read my chicken scrawl. Better get back to that painting. In spite of my parting from Vance earlier, I was happy that he loves his earrings. I also wasn't aware. We're learning so much. This is awesome. So cool. Okay, homework to-do list, English dashes. Wonder what else they can do. Maths, no. Biology, no. Chemistry, never. Gym theory, go fuck yourselves. Do the Jolo art. Ew, I'm never abbreviating names together again. Photography, music, geography, shop. Okay. Where's my cringe? I need one really badly. Maybe 2. Throw 2 in there. Because Jolo is Lennon's in. Okay, sorry. That one took a while. Okay? Thank you. Morning has risen. And I'm just waiting outside the boys' dorms by the steps, waiting for Hal to come out. He says he's going to... Oh my god. Happy 9 to 5, everybody. That's so exciting. We've read so much. Oh, man. Cringe for being impatient. Fuck off. Thank you for your happy 9 to 5s. They are appreciated as always. Whew, okay. Morning has risen and I'm just waiting outside the boys. Okay, waiting for Hal. He says he's going to tell me one of the best ways to cheer up Vance once he gets out of bed. I don't know how you can just sleep in when classes start in less than an hour. I still haven't eaten. Sure enough, the stragglers ran out of the dorm, but Hal diverted from them to run over to me, out of breath. Bike races, he burst suddenly, and I stared at him. I never actually saw him in the Vale races, I say without thinking, and he shook his head. No, he races in the new Coventry races, he explained quickly. And he's pretty damn good, too, but rumor has it that you're the only person who's beaten Darby Harrington in a race once. Was that true? I smirked at the memory. It was pure luck, but I won a race against Darby when a townie kid threw an egg at his face and gave me the time I needed to overtake. Good, then meet us at the Blue Skies Bridge tonight at 6 p.m. Hal smiled cheerfully and patted my shoulder before running off. Wait, Blue Skies? Wait, we can't race there, I yelled after him, horrified, but he's already long gone. Thank you for your cringe. So now, as I sit at my desk in despair during gym theory... Okay, I'm sorry, who calls it gym theory? Or what is gym theory? I just don't understand. Okay, anyway, dread filled me. A race through that cesspit of deprivation and blue-collar paradise? I still have my Aquaberry racer, but I would absolutely not race it through Blue Skies. It gets stolen the second a single tire tread tire with a Y? It's the theory. I guess? But do they teach that in high school? I mean... This is... PT... Physical... Okay, that makes sense. I didn't think they... That's so weird. This person, I don't think whoever wrote this is a real person. They can't be. Cause what is this? Who made this? I just want to talk. Thank you for your grace. Okay. Where this for Robot Writer, of course. Bot energy, yeah. I would absolutely not race it through Blue Skies. It gets stolen the second a single tire tread with a Y touches the geographical boundary. Our new gym teacher yelled at us all to pay attention, but not even the jocks could take her seriously. Apparently, it was discovered that our former teacher, Mr. Burton, provided steroids to the football team. There was already a perfectly legitimate reason to fire Mr. Burton. Sexual harassment. And the person who wrote this was like, let's make up something completely new and irrelevant. All right. Good man. So now Dr. Crabblesnitch brought in this lady who's a complete stickler for the rules, not to mention boring, but still efficient at teaching gym and theory classes. Unfortunately, she already yelled at me once when she caught me writing in my diary, so I'm going to have to hold off on my diary writing until much later. Sigh. It's like, hello? It was right there. It was literally right there. But yeah, go ahead. Do steroids. That's great. Thank you. Diary, I have so much to tell you. Tonight was simply amazing. Oh darn, I already spoiled the surprise. But Vance and I are pals again. Thank you for your Grinch. I met Hal and Vance at the bridge to Blue Skies, and Vance didn't seem to expect me to be lots of cringes. What? You're right, but Vance didn't seem to expect me to be there because his eyes widened when he saw me and was about to pedal away when Hal quickly held his bike handle. Hang on, I just want to see who's the fastest between you two, Hal said with a grin, and Vance stared at him. You set us up? He hissed at him as I approached. Yeah, sorry, Hal sighed. But you're the fastest out of all of us, and Gord has beaten Darby once, and I got a little curious about matchings. Forget it, Vance said haughtily, already clearly annoyed. They are not. They are normal bikes. What? No, there's normal bikes. What are we talking? Wait, what? Huh? Huh? Oh man, the one downside, my immersion is ruined. Wait, why? What happened? The fact that it's not motorbikes? I'm out of water. All it is is ice, and I'm gonna kill myself. I thought, oh no, I'm sorry. Thank you for your 115, even though I haven't read for no motorbikes, of course. I'm not risking life and limb in that hellhole with this guy tailing me, and yanked his handle from Hal's grip, walking away from him. The larger greaser gave me a helpless look, gesturing at him, and I coughed. I laughed, and Vance stopped in his tracks, not looking back. Who says I'll be behind you? You'll be eating my dust. I mean, they're teenagers. So they can't. And Bully is a walkable utopia anyway, so they have to fucking get bikes in there somehow. And they're the perfect group. Oh yeah, Vance murmured softly and turned his head. Not on that sad little machine you call a bike. It's nothing compared to my Shop 5 BMX with custom racer wheels. Oh, please, I rolled my eyes. The Aquaberry Cruiser is made to win when it comes to speed. Is it made for acceleration, though? That won't matter when it glides past that piss-poor excuse of a bike. I hear Hal inhale a drawn-out gasp behind me, excuse me. In that case, let's prove it here and now. Vance moved his bike away from the bridge, but Hal shouted. Where, though? If we race in the Vale, Gord has the advantage, but if we race here, then Vance has the advantage. Why not... Why not race somewhere unfamiliar? Because Blue Skies is a hellhole. Vertical on a ride, I know. It's terrible. Shut the fuck up and please just ride your bikes. I'm begging. I spat and Vance nodded grimly. Those townies still don't like the look of us Bullworth kids. I forgot fucking there's a townie, sub-arc. It's weird. Okay, we'll get there. Wandering in their turf, he added. What makes you think that we'd be willing to go through there? Why not Bullworth Academy grounds? Because the prefects will confiscate your bikes. Will they do that? Because in the game, I ride in there all the time. But okay. I already sent the guys into Blue Skies to place the race markers down so you'll know where to go. But we gotta race now before someone chases the other guys off. He gestures at the threshold of the bridge, looking at us expectantly. Come on, just one little race? Me and Vance shared a disdained look at the lack of choice, but seeing his eyes made me want to stare at them for longer. They go so beautifully with his silver earrings. I still think I'm faster than you, I grinned, and he smirked, hands tightening on the handles. Wanna bet on that? Thank you for your cringe. Wanna bet on that? The race hasn't even started, but I think he forgave me at that point. The feeling alone surged a new energy in me as our bikes aligned at the starting line. I sent Hal a grateful smile as he held his hand high. I faced forwards towards the hellish ghetto of deprivation. Go! Yeah, Hal yelled, and we took off flying. Very good writing. Thank you so much. The smooth bridge beneath our wheels gave us a smooth start, but then we hit dusty ground and we saw one of the thank you for your cringe. Saw one of the greasers holding a sign directing us towards this ring of trailers. People lurked, but only a couple of them wore the familiar orange-coated clothing worn by the dropouts. I've briefly glanced at Vance and felt a new emotion in my chest at the look of delirious determination. Bad writing. Thank you. He looked like an entirely different person beneath those eyes, body bobbing as he pedaled fast on his gleaming red machine. Feel free to do more than one for that one. Our bikes are still in joint position, but he managed to overtake as I swerved to avoid a hobo. I swore much daily double. Yeah. I swore much more than he did as I panted to catch up with my speedy competitor. I wish I wasn't wearing my Aquaberry slate slacks. They're so restrictive, especially on my crotch, unfortunately. I should have changed clothes before I set off, but I was thinking so much about making Vance like me again that I completely forgot about everything else. Huh? Why would that matter? I'm gonna lose my mind. Yeah, you're right. The circle came to an end and we saw another greaser, whom I recognized as Peanut, holding another sign directing us down the road towards a myriad of parked train carriages, a maze. Vance slowed down in obvious shock, but I wheeled past and swerved sharply around corners. Then something happened. The carriages started moving, and I picked up the pace to avoid being run over, but without stopping. It was so dangerous. Among the noise of screeching tires with a Y on tracks, I hear Vance yelling somewhere in the morphing maze of metal and ceaseless work. Then, out of the corner of my eye, I saw some orange-clothed townies messing about with the levels of at the side of the tracks, laughing and pointing at me. But for some reason, I managed to deftly avoid being hit or clipped once by massive carriages as I bumped over the tracks and practically danced my way out. This bike deserved the world. When I made it out of the labyrinth, I glanced back, but stopped my bike entirely when I realized that Vance hasn't come through. The carriages were still moving, but the sounds of laughter was heard over the stuttering wheels of the slowly moving vehicles. Opposite the chaos, I could see Lefty standing on by the grass, aiming a direction sign towards the Spaz Industry Factory, where there's a mercifully flat main road, but I couldn't bring myself to move ahead and win this by a landslide. It was clear by the panic and horror in Hal's face as he ran over to me that this was not part of the race. The townies were sabotaging the race. Thank you for saying the race twice in 2 sentences. That's great. I turned my bike and Hal shouted, "What are you doing? You barely made it out of there." Ignoring him, I pedaled back into the fray, speeding past confusing numbers of speeding carriages until I stopped right beside Vance, who was cursed as he desperately tried to yank his bike wheel, which was stuck fast in a track a few meters away. A train carriage slowly closed in on us, readying to crush his bike beyond repair. "Vance, watch out!" I shouted and hopped off my bike, gripping his trapped wheel and yanking at it with all my might. Vance gasped as he too saw the incoming carriage, and the bike shook as he got off it and held the front wheel with me. On my count, why are you trying to save the bike? You are going to be killed. On my count, he ordered, 1, 2, now. And with perfect sync, we mustered with all our strength and managed to free the wheel. Vance suddenly stood up and shoved my chest, pushing me back, and the carriage blocked my view of him. After about 5-10 seconds, the carriage passed, and Vance is in my view once more, safe but clearly shaken by how pale he looked. I nodded with a weary smile, and he laughed. Then we quickly got onto our bikes and resumed the race. I'm sorry. Huh? After a near-death experience? What is going on? Hal looked pretty relieved when we emerged into his view, and he pointed over to Lefty, How? Why are you encouraging this? As we carried on pedaling like mad down the smooth road, both intending to finish the race. We avoided incoming tractors, cars, and lorries with ease, but we noticed more of those tardy kids pissing about as they sat on top of shipping containers. In pairs, they carried large wooden crates before tipping them over and spilled bottles of stink bombs down to the path ahead of us, creating the largest green cloud we've ever seen. Diversion! I cried out, and we swerved to avoid the worst of it, but my eyes stung. I momentarily slowed down, but as did Vance, and as we passed the stink cloud, and we passed the stink cloud, excuse me, towards the, thank you for your cringe, towards the raised railway looming high above us, Norton stood by the wall, holding a marker down the path towards the tunnel leading to Happy Volts. But then he dropped the sign and waved at us frantically, yelling something as he pointed behind us. As we were neck to neck, it's neck and neck, but okay. We both risked looking back and we both screamed. Gaining in on us is a hijacked police car with one of the townie wankers at the wheel, hooting and banging their head off the horn. We can't outrun a police car. The race is off, back to Bulworth. Okay, it should have been over a long time ago, but okay. Vance yelled and suddenly swerved to the side, narrowly avoiding being clipped by the car's wing mirror. I was too slow. Townie wing, yeah. So British. I was too slow as the car quickly accelerated and I bumped my rear wheel and I flew back, hitting the windshield and rolled over the vehicle, heavily landing on the asphalt. Miraculously, my head survived, but my arms have grazes from being instinctively wrapped around my head. Ahead of me, this car, first of all, it wouldn't be around your head, I don't think. It'd probably be trying to save yourself, so you know. But whatever. Apparently, I don't know what's going on. There's so much happening. Okay, oh shit. Where am I? Okay, miraculously, okay. Ahead of me, the car screeched to the halt. Good writing. Before reversing, I braced myself to be hit. Then I heard a loud bang and glass shattering, and I opened my eyes to see some of Vance's buddies throwing firecrackers at the vehicle, absolutely bombarding it with every weapon they got on them, including stink bombs and even bottle rockets, all yelling. In my confused state, someone pulled me to my feet and began to lead me away from the chaos, only for them to drag me away to a secluded spot nearby beneath the bridge where they load heavy goods. I took a good look at my savior, but it wasn't a greaser. It was a townie kid, putting his finger to his lips, and I glanced over as the stolen police car backed up suddenly and ran over a pursuing police officer. The hijacker yelled in shock and left the car, running away as 40 police officers drove out of nowhere in motorbikes to chase after them. Follow down that tunnel to Happy Volts, and you should come across an old vine that'll lead you to the academy, the townie whispered to me. The police have blue skies cut off from the outside world, and it won't be long until they get to the tunnels. Dazed, I nod, and he let me go to pick up my bike. I relayed his instructions to the other greasers, but Norton said quickly, "But Vance is still out there. We've got to help him." "I'll find him," Peanut suddenly volunteered. "You guys take Gord back to the infirmary. My arm is only sore from the landing, but thankfully not broken." In a group, we trekked down the tunnel to Happy Volts as Peanut left to find Vance, and we eventually found the mine that led us to the school observatory. I found it surprising that the asylum was this close to the school this whole time. There was a group of nerds who panicked at the sight of us, but we ignored them and walked to the football field, where a football practice session was in order, and the jocks gave us suspicious looks, but mostly glared at me. My mind flashed back to my assault like a flickering movie, but Ricky's hand on my shoulder kept me grounded. At the stairs, the greasers stood around me protectively, escorting me like they're my personal bodyguards as we went to the infirmary. Thankfully, Ricky let go of me to take my bike to the auto shop, but I dread looking at it. I know how hard it's been hit by that police car. Those townies are such bastards, but I can't help but wonder about the kind one who led me aside when I could have been left to get run over. After I get my arm checked and put in a compressor, I thanked the greasers and told them to go find Vance before I left to retire to my dorm, where I am currently writing in here. I believe that Vance and I are friends once more because of what happened in the race, but oh man, today was such a roller coaster of ups and downs. I hope that Vance returns to the dorm because I want to properly talk to him about our friendship and if he forgives me. Although, thinking about it now, I think we're both overreacting. It's not my fault that I never had a weird friendship like this with someone who isn't rich. Also, I better get some sleep. If I had more time, I would have added more details to this diary entry, but time is very short and it's past curfew and I'm getting sleepy so sleepy that I might fall asleep at this rickety old desk. I blame the aquaberry hat that Vance gifted me. It's so warm on my head. Thankfully, we still have this cold weather until at least 3 weeks. So, I hope that my hair will grow out by then. Good night, diary. Oh my god, that was awesome. Okay, now we're getting into it. It's going to bed. And I don't blame you. Oh god, there's so much. Okay. It's let me see how long this next chapter is. I know I said this was gonna be the last one, but I thought it'd be a lot closer to 10. Oh my god, this one's super fucking long. Okay. Okay. No more chapter. We're on chapter 4. We'll have to come back to this another time. I don't know when. Damn, there's insane people on right now. So I guess we'll just stop here, which feels good and correct. After 133 cringes. I love this fucking fanfiction. It's so bad. Like, My Immortal was bad in a way that was almost purposeful. Like, it was so bad it could have been fake. But this is too genuine to be fake. You know what I mean? So, for you did get a little crazy with the cringe counter, but you know it. I'm glad you're having a good time. Okay. Well, no, it wasn't. My Immortal was insanely hard to read, and I fucking and it was like he put his penis in my thing, and so it was pretty bad. At least this doesn't have any of that. I don't know. It's bad. My Immortal is bad in like a holy fuck, this is so bad kind of way. And then Gord Vendome's Diamond Spiral is holy shit. People could feasibly think this is a good thing. Bad. And it's towing the line. Like, you can tell that people who have never read a good book before are the ones reading this stuff. But the fact that anybody believes it's good is absolutely insane to me. Oh my god, because everybody knows My Immortal is bad, but this is like just well written enough to trick people into thinking that it's good, and that's what makes it great. Yes, okay. I have no idea when we will get to read more of this, because tomorrow is Bully Saturday, but the problem with that is we have family coming over. So either I'll start late, I don't know how late, or I won't stream at all, which will really fucking suck because Bully Saturday is my beloved. Luckily, we got to do this today instead, so if I do cancel tomorrow, we've got this going for us. We'll just sit down and remember. But for now, it's great. Literally can't go wrong with reading bad fanfiction. It's literally the pinnacle of content. But okay. So I have so many people online right now. I've got Kiki Stardust, who we rated not too long ago. But she hasn't officially started yet. You are very welcome for stream. I hope everybody had a nice time today. I certainly did. Love reading. It's one of my favorite activities. I will not be drinking juice ever again while I do this. So, good thing I did cringe counter instead, because holy fuck. It I feel like I'm going to die. Cause reading this much is already extremely difficult. Okay. Would it be weird to raid into her even though she literally just started like 5 seconds ago? Be honest. I actually need my headphones now, because I'll need to hear her speak a little as a treat. Not that you can hear her. What a nice beginning of street. Okay, that's a good point. I would actually be like extremely jarred if that happened to me, but can't complain. Also I love her. She's so fun to hang out with. Her birthday is on the 26th, and apparently she's gonna do a birthday stream around then. I'm hoping I'll be able to catch it, but it's also the 26th, which is the day after after Christmas. But she's doing a pizza party, and she's letting her chat choose what pizza toppings she's gonna get for her birthday pizza, which I think is so fun. Okay. Well, I've stalled enough just to give myself a little bit of... Yeah! And she was, like, looking for other things to do, and I suggested Gartic Phone. Fingers crossed, because Gartic Phone is really fucking fun. Yeah, pizza party! It was so cute. I was like, oh my god, that's such a good idea. But... Yeah. She's super cool. She does, the... Game Boy custom paintings. She's really fucking good. All of her stuff rocks. All right, so we'll go over there. Thank you everybody for hanging out with me. I will see everyone tomorrow, maybe. If not, I'm sorry. I'm leaning on the not. I'm not happy about it, but God, being around people is fucking exhausting. You know how it is. Okay, I will see everybody when I see you. Godspeed. I love you. Bye.